genre.
Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm the Nick Jimenez proclamation.
And I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
Today on the show, it is Christmas Eve, and so we are going to be doing something a little different. So a few years ago, we did our top 5 Christmas specials, holiday specials, I guess is what we would call them now, since we have 2 that are not Christmas specials, and soon to be 3. Although one barely qualifies. We'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. So what we're going to be doing this time, instead of a top 5, is we're actually going to do I've created a bracket system for all of these, and so what we're doing is we're just taking everything that's ever that every episode of Doctor Who that's aired on a holiday. So that includes Spyfall Part 1, because it was technically a New Year's Day special episode,
and the End of Time Part 2.
No. Oh yes, End of Time Part 2.
Yeah.
I thought I was still in Spyfall in my head.
Oh.
But yes,
Yeah.
you're right. So Spyfall Part 1, despite being episode 1 of series 12, no, 11. I get confused because 13th Doctor, and yeah, but she started in 11. It's confusing.
Spyfall was series 12.
Yeah, right. Did I say? Oh, really? Wait,
Yeah,
I thought she started.
because it was the latest one.
Did she start in?
She started in 11, but Spyfall's her second season.
Is that right?
Click
okay.
on the thing.
Yeah.
What does it say?
Okay. For some, part of me. Oh, right. Because the last Capaldi is 10. He's
Yeah.
8, 9, 10. She's going to be 11, 12, 13. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yes. So series premiere of series 12, which it wasn't technically like a holiday special, but it did air on a holiday, so we're counting it mostly because it's the only way the bracket works is if we count it.
Yay, Spyfall!
Because otherwise we would be one short. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 specials that we are discussing today. And we're basically we've got some matchups, and the way a bracket works, we're going to go through each of the 8 first round matchups and take those into round 2, round 3, and then the championship, the finals. So this should be fun, I think. We rewatched a bunch of these. Cass
rewatched all of them.
Yeah, Cass rewatched all of them. I rewatched all of them but one. Nick, how many did you end up watching?
I watched a bunch. I tried to watch at least one for each round. I don't think I watched... Okay, I didn't watch the one where 12 regenerates, Twice
Sure.
Upon a Time.
Sure.
I didn't watch End of Time Part 2.
Sure.
I think that's it. I didn't watch Spyfall.
And you watched Spyfall. Spyfall's the one I skipped as well.
Oh.
Yeah. Well,
It wasn't skip so much as like I ran out of time for me.
yeah. No, I skipped it because I think it'll lose its first round on a technicality. The fact that it's not actually a holiday special.
Okay, so should we go over our
Criteria?
Criteria.
Well, okay. So I think. Okay. All right.
Because I thought it was just which episode is the best. But if we are grading on some kind of holiday cheerometer, I'm not against that.
I think that I think that's got to be an element.
Okay,
Right.
for sure.
Right. I mean, these are holiday specials. They need to. They have to make you feel something about the holidays. Where I don't think they're as good
Because they are telegraphed or marketed as at least especially back in the day, as like Christmas specials or holiday specials.
Right.
Guess what do you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you think
that's fine.
Do you think holiday cheer is
As well as quality.
Yeah, not just the only qualification, but should be on the list of qualifiers?
Then the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I mean,
Yeah.
going all the way to the finals.
Well, all right. Settle down.
In terms of Christmas cheer,
Settle down over there.
if we're not bringing quality into it.
All right, we're not even arguing the rounds yet. Hold on.
Oh, the rounds are nuts. We
Yeah.
have some crazy matchups.
I just edited the matchups.
Oh, okay,
So,
never mind.
so some of the matchups I've changed.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh, my list is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
no.
need to open it back up again
Because
I
some of
did-
these,
Shit.
some of
I did
these were
switch
real.
around.
Like, ooh, I feel bad for that episode.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just tried to. Okay, so when I did the matchups, and we'll get back to qualifiers in a second, but when I did the matchups, it was very important to me that no showrunner went up against themselves.
Oh, interesting. That's very true.
Not in round one.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a second round,
I didn't
obviously
notice
that's gonna be undeniable. You're gonna have to end up doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But in the first round, I wanted to make sure that no showrunner was going up against themselves.
Moffat
and
on Davies.
And I did that a few times. I had like Moffat against Moffat and Davies against Davies.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I went in, I wanted to tweak those. I also wanted to take power levels into consideration in
Sure.
terms of like
Power levels.
yes, in terms of like
Christmas Carol.
yeah, like where it's like okay, it's not fair to put Christmas Carol against Spyfall because we know which one's going to win, right? So like I
Right.
wanted to make sure that everything felt like, if not on really equal footing, at least like to the point where you could find an argument that they would be.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons.
To warrant a conversation.
Right, exactly. I didn't want any of these matchups to be I didn't want to be any of those matchups to be so easily where it's just like we don't even need to talk about it. Let's just move
Yeah.
on.
Well, thank you,
like
thank
we
you for
know.
putting in all that work.
Yeah. So anyway, so these are tweaked. So here we go.
Okay.
All right. So what other qualifications do you have in mind, Cass? Quality, I think, is there, right? Christmas cheer or holiday cheer.
Because I was I think I was just picking which one I liked the best or like held up the best. Because I am a weirdo and I watched them in bracket order instead of like release order.
I'm sorry. I should have told you that the bracket was meaningless. I had just kind of put them on there at first.
No, it's fine because I had like a whole list, and then earlier before we started recording, I actually like figured out my ranking, which helps this new bracket.
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah.
I use the bracket as a map,
Uh-huh.
a way to be like, okay, how do I structure this crazy adventure that I'm apparently going on
Yeah.
now that Roku supports HBO Max?
Sure.
And so, but one thing that I wanted to point out that's interesting about Holiday Cheer is I feel like for me personally, the reason a lot of these uniformly have aged better for me,
Sure.
like a lot of these that I remember being critical on
Mm-hmm.
at the time of the show when we watched it. And now they're like, I had so much fun. And I think it's because it was free of the expectations
Yes.
of it being the Doctor Who Christmas special for this year.
Right.
Because,
In some cases,
yeah.
like with Dr. Mysterio,
Well, we can
example,
talk about it.
Dr. Mysterio was
The only episode.
for a whole year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
affected my episode. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Seriously? And
We
now-
waited a year and this is what we get. Yeah.
So like sometimes like
all that baggage is gone.
yeah,
Which
So-
is nice.
So even the like quote lack of holiday cheer that I was critical of in 20 whatever, now it was like, oh, it's cool because it was just like another episode for me.
Sure.
Around Christmas time.
Yeah.
But we'll get into it.
Yeah. All right. Any other qualifiers? Let's see. So we got holiday cheer. We got quality, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh,
Are we gonna like? We're just gonna like discuss basically, and then like
Yeah.
Yeah.
figure out. Okay.
I
Yeah.
have one. How it is added to the mythos of the show.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like in retrospect, we're like, oh, this is aged really well now because it fits in ways that we didn't plan on in 2005.
How about instead of adding to the mythos of the show, because I think that gives at least 3 of these a very much a large,
Oh, that's true.
a large advantage
That's very true.
compared
My
to
bad.
the other ones.
Some of these are like regeneration.
Why don't we say rewatchability?
Rewatchability? Very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a good one. Okay,
cool.
so can I watch this every year? Would I be content to watch this every single year? I think that's a good qualifier.
Cool.
So Christmas cheer overall quality and rewatchability.
Yeah, rewatchability plays a big factor into the holiday special at large.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly. So are those our three qualifiers?
Yeah, I like it.
Sure.
Okay.
Three's
All
a good
right.
number.
So here we go. We're not gonna go down the whole map. We're just gonna do one at a time, so you guys listening can be surprised by these matchups. All right. So round one matchup: 2005's The Christmas Invasion versus 2014's Last Christmas. So Christmas Invasion, of course, is the first Christmas special. It is written by Russell T Davies and directed by James Hawes. And it is basically David Tennant's post-regeneration story. So the majority of the episode, I would say, is fair. The Doctor is sleeping, which is obviously a throwback to a lot of post-regeneration stories from the classic era, all of which you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so you understand that.
I know things now.
Yeah. And so, yeah. So he spends a lot of time asleep in his gym jams. And so that's the Christmas Invasion. And then Last Christmas was probably the Capaldi. It's the first Capaldi Christmas special. It's also the one I think that we were all the most critical of as they were coming out. Well, maybe
Dr. Mysterio,
Yeah.
we were pretty dirty too.
Were we? Okay. I remember.
I personally was.
Yeah. Maybe I like that one more. I might have been
I
more.
feel like
Yeah.
all of the Capaldi ones, we were like
Yes.
varying degrees of womp womp.
Yeah.
That's
which
very fair.
I
was
think-
really interesting.
I think that's very
rewatching
fair.
them.
So Last Christmas is the one that's sort of a riff on Alien meets Inception meets Father Christmas. This is the one with Nick Frost, our boy Nick Frost, as Santa Claus, or an apparition of Santa Claus, or a
Ghost.
an imagined Santa Claus. And it is sort of right after Clara has lost what's his name? Her boyfriend?
Danny Pink.
Danny.
God.
Yes, thank you, Nick. That's why I ask you these things. I can't remember character names, and you
Didn't
remember
you
everything.
just watch this?
Yeah, I know. Well, I did. I watched like 7 since then. So
No. Oh yeah, I know. I was doing like 4 a day.
Yeah.
You guys think about we've probably heard Comfort and Joy like 32 times.
yeah,
this
that's
week.
probably true.
And that song, the
the weird.
what's it?
Dun, 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 dun.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
This is Danny Pink has just died, sacrificed himself as a Cyberman. First time they went up against Missy, and
Death in Heaven.
right, and so this is like, I remember going into this, we thought Clara was out. We thought this was going to be her last episode. I remember that going into this.
Yeah, and not to, I'm sure we talked about this in the proper episode, but like the episode, it was the table read of the episode that Jenna Coleman decided that she did in fact want to stay.
Yes.
And so they did rewrites.
Right. So Christmas Invasion versus Last Christmas. Where do we want to start in terms of? I want to talk about Christmas Invasion first,
Please.
just because like I went through a weird thing. A weird thing happened to me while I was rewatching all of these, and I think what it shook out to is that now that we are 2 showrunners past Russell T Davies. And so much time has passed, I have found that I don't think his era ages very well. I didn't love this time. And this is usually my go-to Christmas special.
Sure.
This is the one that I've watched every year, probably since it aired. I'm like, oh, well, if I'm going to watch a Doctor Who Christmas special that isn't new, I'm going to watch Christmas Invasion. Like, because to me, it was always the most Christmassy in my mind. But having watched all of them now, this is nowhere near the most Christmassy. And the Doctor's not in it a lot. It's mostly, the supporting characters. Everyone, like the aliens threatening people by like, they're going to all kill themselves. That's a bummer. Like any like blood magic or whatever it was they were using.
Voodoo.
Blood.
I mean, that's what it might as well be blood
Yeah, yeah.
magic.
No, I didn't even know you were. I thought that's what David Tennant calls it in the episode.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. He calls it blood something else. Blood something because he tastes the blood and he's
Yeah.
like, oh, blood. I don't remember what he says. He doesn't say blood magic, but he's like, blood magic. Yeah, it's been years since
bending.
I've done blood magic. Yeah.
I love blood bending.
bending.
Blood bending. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so the last, those like 10 minutes of him taking out those like outsmarting everybody, the sword fight, quoting the Lion King, like all of that first when the alien starts talking in English and he pops out of the TARDIS,
Yeah.
those 10 minutes up until he whispers in that dude's ear are
Iconic.
amazing Doctor stuff. Everything before that is like, oh my God, get to the point. This is taking forever. And everything after that, and I really think that the Whisper ages extremely poorly.
Especially after like post 2016 election.
Yeah.
But that's society's fault.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but you know, it was a problem then, and that's why it.
And it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hits different, as the kids say.
Very much so. Yeah. And I do like that it's the only like Christmas dinner that like the Doctor goes to for like the 10th Doctor goes to for like a while.
Yeah.
You know, like he keeps getting invited at
And
the
he
end of his
never-
episodes,
yeah.
and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll meet you over there," and then he just bails. That happens a bunch of times. You know, and I like seeing him in the outfit for the first time, but like overall, this one was a weaker point over my marathon. What about you, Cass?
Yeah, I was like, oh, Christmas Invasion versus Last Christmas. That's kind of a shoo-in. And it was not,
Yeah.
dear listener. It was not.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very weird.
What about you?
I had a lot of fun with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I it was this year because I always watch bits of it because it's always on BBC America
Sure.
on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
you know. And I just really hold a lot of affection for the Russell T Davies era and his supporting cast, and just the way that his London in the show really felt like a world.
Mhm.
And so when the Doctor was asleep and it shifted into Jackie Tyler, Mickey, and Rose and PM, I can't believe
Harry
I'm forgetting.
Jones,
I can't
Prime
believe I
Minister.
forgot
Jones,
Harry
yeah.
Jones, Prime Minister.
Wow.
And like I love living in that world, and yeah, and when the Doctor came back, I really found like this episode was like the Rosetta Stone for the 10th Doctor in a lot of ways, which makes sense because it's his first episode.
Yeah.
But every 10 story that I watched, I was like, there it is. When like the first thing he does, the first decision the 10 really makes is he grabs a sword and he has a sword fight.
Yeah.
He is a swashbuckler.
Yeah.
And when he loses his hand and he's like, this is a fighting hand, and he grows a new one back.
Yeah.
I kept seeing every time he would grab a sword in one of these specials, I was like, there he is.
Yeah.
That's who he is. And so like, I don't know, like now that the era is old enough for me to find it nostalgic, I just really found this to be like, I texted Cass this, but like just the sight of Jackie Tyler setting a Christmas tree is like intensely nostalgic for me.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
I mean, oh, sorry.
oh no, please no. And then like I don't know, I had like the fun kind of like semi-comic campy Russell T Davies Independence Day of like finding out how the aliens got here and stuff, and it's all leading up to that like big 10 moment. But I know I enjoyed the ride a lot this time.
Yeah, because it was fun to rewatch, but I was surprised by a lot of the Moffat episodes specifically, like all through this list.
I came to like a pretty powerful realization
Yeah.
over the course of this, which was just like, oh wow, we gave Moffat a lot of shit, but oh my God, do I miss his era? Like I miss it so much.
Yeah, like I don't want it to be that way again. But I do like miss it. Like, oh, it was fun when that was happening.
Oh, see, I do want it to be like that again. I just mean fun, because
You mean fun.
I find that Chibnall doesn't know what fun feels like. Is what it seems like to me, because a lot of his era hasn't felt fun. It's felt interesting and new, and it certainly feels fresh,
but it's not playful.
It's not playful at all.
The way that Moffat was just naturally, I think, and we'll get, but this is a Moffat. We're talking about Moffat, but he had so much fun with the toys and having them do things that I don't think they were designed to do. And sometimes that worked and sometimes the toy broke, but it was always really fun to watch. And I feel like Chibnall is the era has had some really strong moments and some really, some not so fun moments, but it doesn't feel as like, whoa, what's going to happen now? Well, that's not true because the last season was crazy. But.
Well, yeah, it was at the end, but then I'm not saying that I'm not excited for it to come back, but it feels weird to be more excited about Captain Jack. Yeah. In the New Year's special than I am about anything else.
I definitely missed the way the Moffat era made me feel and still can make me feel watching so many of these episodes.
I just feel so happy while I watch his episodes, like the whole time. So whereas Chibnall, we'll get there, but Chibnall's like resolution, it's a bummer. Like that episode's a bummer.
It's scary.
And I feel like that's a lot of his stuff is just kind of a bummer. He's just like, yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? Anyway, see you next week. Which is just feels like the epitome of I don't know, just it feels like the opposite, the absolute opposite of what Doctor Who should be.
Well,
that's not why I watch the show.
Yeah.
I watch the show to feel good about humanity, not to be bummed out by it.
Right.
Well, do we want to see into Last Christmas? Or
yeah, so Last Christmas, I remember tearing this one apart and just being like, I hated this. This is so boring. And Capaldi, I still haven't figured him out yet. I don't know if he's going to be a good doctor. It's been a season. I'm worried. I remember feeling all of those things.
Danny's dead.
Right. The second time. So this is only the second time I've watched it. Cass, you said it first.
Yeah.
You were like, Last Christmas hits different. And I was like, I don't know what she means by that. And then I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this episode rules.
Yeah, it's so good.
This episode's so good. Last Christmas is amazing. I love Last Christmas. I think this is awesome. Nick Frost, man, I remember at the time thinking God, I'm just so bummed that he's not really playing Santa, because I felt like it was a waste of Nick Frost, that he was just in everyone's imagination. But now watching it this time, knowing that that's what he is the whole time, it didn't bother me because it made him the epitome of Santa Claus,
right,
literally, the literal Santa Claus, because Santa isn't real. So
the realest thing he can be is all of us collectively imagining him together, and that thing becoming
Nick Frost,
something we can, something I noticed about Nick Frost, and why I think he's so perfect in this episode is he's a good enough actor to know that he's not just charming and lovable and friendly. He is a charming, lovable, friendly man trying to be stern and serious.
Yes.
And so he just seems all the more lovable the whole time.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the mystery Inception, which is that you don't know you're in Inception, and then you just keep coming out of Inception.
This episode really did that one Rick and Morty with Reverse Giraffe 4 years earlier, where none of them know which one's real.
Yeah,
Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Yeah, right. Yeah, God, this episode ruled. This one blew me away. Probably maybe more than any other one. I don't know. We'll see as we go along.
In terms of leaps in your perception of it.
Right.
Yeah,
I was just like, holy moly, what was I thinking? This is awesome.
I really appreciated the fact that 12 and Santa didn't get along the whole time, because it's the one version of the Doctor in the new era that wouldn't be psyched about talking to Santa.
Yeah.
And well, how do you fit all the toys in the sleigh? Bigger on the inside. The playfulness that we were just talking about.
Yeah. Very Christmassy also, he got to be in a Santa sleigh.
Yeah. And I think, and also Christmassy is that it's really sad.
Yeah.
And I think Doctor Who,
it is sad, but it ultimately has a really happy ending.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these understand. To me, sadness is like an important part of Christmas because it's like the end of the year, it's the end of the season, and so like all the best Christmas stories to me are all have elements of death and mourning and loss in them. From Christmas Carol to It's a Wonderful Life to Elf, and so Susan Wells, and so with this, like I remember even then the thing that I really took away from this episode in 2014 was Every Christmas is Last Christmas,
Right.
and it's just such a resonant, and to me an important part of rewatchability is you watch these specials to learn that and reflect on that every year. And that relate, even though like it's been like years and years since I watched Death in Heaven, I don't remember a lot of the details. Those scenes of Clara learning to having to let go of Danny, and Danny like coaching her through it were like so like powerful to me. And like I think just another thing I think we reflect on is that Jenna Coleman is a terrific actor.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
And just did so much crazy great work on the show.
God. I do miss her. I love our companions currently, and I'm excited to have more room for just like focusing on one in the next series. But yeah, I do miss, I think I miss not spreading not spreading the doctor companion relationship into an ensemble. Because I don't think the ensemble works as well. I like the focused attention that just a doctor and a companion.
Yeah.
Because even in the case of like when Arthur Darvill was on the show, right? He was a supporting character. He wasn't. There was still the doctor companion relationship, and then he was a companion, but they wrote him in a way that he was supporting to the two of them. You know, so like it didn't feel like he was too much on the TARDIS because they didn't give him the focus that they're trying to like spread across the three companions that we have currently, you know?
Yeah, in retrospect, he was always when he was in the crew, it was always part of the narrative.
Right.
It was always serving a purpose.
Yeah. So okay, so let's talk about our what we're talking about. So qualitatively, my vote goes to Last Christmas.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay.
I really loved both of them. I'll vote for Christmas Invasion just to give Christmas. I mean, does that like ruin anything?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll vote for Christmas Invasion.
No. Okay. So we have so Last Christmas has 2 points, and Christmas Invasion has 1 point. Okay. So what was the next thing? It was Christmas Spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. Christmas Spirit.
Santa.
Killer Christmas trees, killer Santas, killer robot Santas. Man, I almost feel like these are almost equal.
I think I got tired of the Russell T. Like I'm going to take your Christmas expectation and subvert it. Whereas like Moffat's just like, nah, screw it, it's Christmas.
Yeah,
you know?
That's true. That is true. Yeah, I think
that's just me personally.
I think ultimately the message of Last Christmas feels more Christmassy. Ultimately, I feel like the Christmas Invasion is more like just like decor, like decorations.
The theme of the Christmas Invasion is man will ultimately always react with wrath and war,
right?
and then
Merry Christmas,
and then the patriarchy will then turn and take down and topple even our most powerful leaders.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think in terms of holiday cheer, got to give it to Last Christmas.
On the other hand, though, the doctor does find a Satsuma in his pocket.
That's true.
So Last Christmas for sure.
Your man friend sure likes his snacks.
Satsuma.
So Last Christmas. Last Christmas for Cass.
In terms of Christmas Spirit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Last Christmas.
Okay, Last Christmas. Okay, so that is now 5 points for Last Christmas, 1 point for Christmas Invasion. That basically means Last Christmas moves on. But what was the third?
Rewatchability.
Rewatchability. I mean, it's hard. With rewatchability, it's hard to say Last Christmas because this is only the second time I've rewatched it.
I was about to say, and we've already Christmas Invasion is already 15 years old, and we're still watching it.
So I guess for that sake, I got to give Christmas Invasion the rewatchability point. What about you?
I don't know, because I don't really rewatch any of these except for like my top one, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is hard. Can I abstain?
I mean, it doesn't matter whether you do or not. Last Christmas
Okay.
is moving on.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
Yeah, so vote with your heart.
yeah,
All right. Probably Christmas Invasion, just because I've seen it more.
sure, of course.
I'm going to say Last Christmas
Okay.
because I'm kind of with Scott where like as much as I enjoyed watching it this time, it has been 15 years
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know when I'm going to want to watch it again.
Sure.
Whereas now that I like know that I like Last Christmas,
Yeah.
which I didn't know that a few months ago.
Right.
Like maybe I
Right.
will want to watch it again next year.
I need to point out this is only the second time that Nick has watched Last Christmas, but when I was watching Last Christmas in the living room,
Oh my God.
I had it paused, and it was the scene right before she starts dancing. The character starts dancing.
Shona.
And
Yeah.
Shona. And she's standing at the doorway before entering the room. Her back is to the camera, and it's just her back, shoulders, and back of her head in front of a door, a future door. And that's it. And I had it paused on that. And Nick came walking through the living room, looked at the TV screen, he goes, "Oh, Last Christmas." So despite having only seen it one time 6 years ago, he still knew what episode it was by the back of someone's head.
Oh, sure.
Man, I love Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Oh, man. For sure. I love Shona.
Yeah.
Her dance is great. She would have, she just wanted to be friends with everybody at the end. It was so sad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
it was good. It was good. And you know what? I almost wonder if that episode was a low key, like kind of like nudge at Prometheus in terms of like how everyone makes fun of that movie by being like, these scientists don't act like scientists.
Yeah.
And so like the whole episode, you're like, scientists not acting like scientists. And it's like, because they're not.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, does what you just said about me recognizing Shona from the back of her head, does that clinch rewatchability?
It might. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, Last Christmas
It was always going to win. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I thought for sure, I thought
Right?
Christmas Invasion was a shoe in.
Is this one of those times where like we're in our little world, but like if other Doctor Who people heard this, they would be like, what the hell?
I have no idea. I'll be totally honest. I don't know.
I don't think so, because like nobody watched Capaldi. So
That's true. That is true. Some people skipped Capaldi and just started with
Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker again. Just because, I mean,
It's not the way.
look, I feel like if they watched the Capaldi era, they would have a new respect for the Smith era that I think they lost over the course of his run.
I mean, I do.
And I think that I think that going into the Capaldi era, I mean, we'll get there, but like, I think Moffat looks back at the Smith era and was like, yeah, I had fun, but I also made a lot of mistakes, and that's what this Doctor's about. It gives me I
More
think,
perspective.
Yeah, it gives me perspective on the whole Moffat era. And so I think the Capaldi era makes the Smith era better, personally.
Like how Clone Wars makes the prequels better.
That's true. It is. Okay. Our next round one matchup. Voyage 2007's Voyage of the Damned going up against 2015's Husbands of River Song. So that is, let's see. You know what? I credited Russell T Davies and James Hawes on Christmas Invasion. I didn't credit Last Christmas, which is written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Paul Wilmshurst. So there we go. Okay, so this one is let's see, Voyage of the Damned, written by Russell T Davies, of course, directed by James Strong, and then what is the other one? Husbands of River Song, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Douglas McKinnon. So, Voyage of the Damned, that's the Titanic, Space Titanic one.
Mm-hmm.
And that is sort of a riff on
Titanic.
nope.
Poseidon Adventure.
Poseidon Adventure, yes. That's the irony, is that it's not you would think it would be based on Titanic, but it isn't. It's based on
That one guy has Billy Zane vibes.
for sure. Although I think there's a similar character in Poseidon Adventure.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. And then the other one, Husbands of River Song, that is the second Peter Capaldi episode, and it's sort of a space screwball comedy.
Yeah,
That's kind of how I would describe it. It's like a screwball comedy with like a little like tragic romance there at the end.
It happened one night in space.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's where that one's at. It's the introduction of
Myrtle.
Yeah. Exactly.
The most popular Doctor Who character of all time.
He didn't bother me this time because I'd already fallen in love with him in the
Right?
in the next season. So.
It made me appreciate what a crazy arc the character
Yes.
goes through.
Yes. Yeah. Matt Lucas, and I like him on British Bake Off now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
You?
He's good. He's a good host. So anyway, he has a very soothing voice for the show, actually. Like when he
Nice.
does the descriptions of what they're baking and stuff.
Miranda made a cake.
It doesn't sound like that. He has like a very nice like voiceover voice.
Oh.
It's really good. Anyway, so all right. So let's start with
Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned. You have a confession.
Oh yeah, Cassandra, I have never seen this episode before.
What?
I had never seen it. And then
What?
No, I just had never seen it.
Wow.
I remember, for whatever real world reason, watching the last few David Tennant specials were difficult. Like I was missing them, or I wasn't watching them when they premiered, and so I just missed that.
This one's before season 4,
Right.
right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Post Martha,
Oh,
pre
that's
Donna.
right. I always forget that. Yeah, Martha leaves. Titanic blows
yeah,
in.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I don't know why I didn't watch. I haven't seen this one.
Interesting.
But yeah, and then it came up while Scott and I were recording something, and
the Home Alone commentary.
the Home
I
Alone
think.
commentary.
Yeah.
And Scott was like, "You've never seen it?" And I was like, "No, I was going to watch it." And so we sat down and we watched it together.
Nice.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, is this controversial to say? I think this is the best Russell T Davies Christmas special.
Oh, this is my least favorite one of all.
Oh, wow.
Throwdown.
Of like all 16 that we're covering.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Which was weird because I was like, oh, Voyage of the Damned and Husbands of River Song, that's also easy. It's not.
Yeah.
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
can we start with you then?
Sure. This was really boring.
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess because this is like the third or fourth time I've watched it because
Yeah.
we just like going through all Tenet, you just watch all of Tenet, or at least
Sure.
I do. It's kind of a bummer. Everyone dies.
That's true.
I was,
It's the
I
opposite
wasn't-
of Everyone Lives, for
Yeah.
sure. Just this one time, everyone dies.
I feel like a lot of the Russell T like gags and stuff have not aged well. Like it
Mhm.
made me really sad that the couple that was like fat, was always eating. Like that
Yeah.
got really tiresome really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
His thing with that always it feels like this weird double-edged sword thing where it was like I'm going to do something nice. I'm going to cast 2 overweight actors and they're going to be real characters and they're both going to have big heroic moments and it's going to be really nice and they're going to have like a really fun story arc and it's going to be really good, but also we're going to make fun of them about how much they're eating all the time and how poor they are and how bad with money she is. And
Yeah.
obviously they're bad with calories
It's,
because look at them.
it's
Like
honestly,
that's the joke. And it's a little bitchy. Like that's the best I can explain it. It just feels very bitchy. Like that's a real bitchy move, Russell T. I don't know.
Yeah, like it's kind of like it's a thing that happens a lot of times in media when they do try to like have characters who aren't the only kind of person that's allowed to be on TV,
Right.
Which is like people like Kylie Minogue and David Tennant.
Sure.
And so when they're people who aren't that way, that is like the focus. There was a native character in New Mutants, and immediately the character is like belittled and called native slurs, and there's
Right.
like gross jokes about like Standing Rock, and it's like, don't call this inclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like what the hell? So, and yeah, so with those 2 characters, I was like holding 2 things in both hands because like I've always appreciated how, whether it's Donna Noble or Jackie Tyler or these characters, Russell T Davies has characters that aren't clever or sexy or witty, that are just allowed to be lame and like kind of like working class, and like they're on the competition because they want a contest. And so everyone's like they're wearing like lame rodeo clothes because they're like, it's Earth themed, right?
Yeah.
So like I related to these characters and I empathize with them. But yeah, there were all these like you said, bitchy, like weird fat jokes that it was like, no, look, but the mean guy's saying it. I'm like, yeah, but you're writing it.
And
Right.
and also you're still filming them like feeding, like shoveling food down
and
each
like
other's
making
throats.
them be like eating food
Yeah.
and like making the plot be so that it matters that they're plus sized,
Right.
you know? And so yeah, so it was like parts of the dude that they're like, oh, I like this of, you know, when they're like the doctor's the only one who doesn't treat them like people. But then there were like all these weird like fat jokes and like yeah. So like that part hasn't aged well, and it's kind of like the stuff that like the farting and the weird like sitcom-y jokes. Like both, it's interesting that both of them came from sitcoms, but their eras of the show are so different and use that kind of sitcom humor so differently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I appreciated it that everyone died because I recognized it as like a callback to the Poseidon Adventure. But
Sure.
it is also like a super bummer.
well, and it's the fact that like all the cool people died.
Yeah.
Like all of the worst characters are the only ones that survived. With the exception of Alonzo, I guess.
And the stowaway criminal guy, the professor of earthonomics.
Oh yeah, the Earthonomics guy, right? Yeah, yeah. He was okay.
And he has that moment where he's like, it sucks, right, Doctor? That the cool people died. But what are you going to do?
Yeah,
Can't be God.
yeah.
Yeah.
David Tennant's like, yes, I can.
12 episodes later.
Yeah, I do really like Astrid. I think that it would have been a cool thing to have her as a companion, just for the sake of like having someone who wasn't. I wouldn't want her to replace anyone. I would have just wanted another season, like an extra season where she got to be a companion for a season. Because I like the idea that he finally would have a companion that wasn't an Earth girl, you know?
Yeah.
So I kind of dug that, but no, she had to die. So, you know, I don't know. I like this one the most of the Russell T Davies ones.
Oh,
I think.
Really?
Yeah, I really think I do.
Something that I can only appreciate, I wouldn't have appreciated in 2007. Max Capricorn is maybe to me the most like a classic Who villain that I've seen on the show ever.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I just got, I mean, like I was sad, but when Astrid like drove him off of into they just fell into the pit. He's like, ah! I was like so happy. I was like, Godspeed, Max Capricorn.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. So it is my favorite of the Russell T Davies era. I will say that. The Russell T Davies era though did not age well for me this time around. So take from that what you will. So Husband's River Song.
Yeah.
This one played a lot better. Just
It did,
like
yes.
Last Christmas. Just
Yeah.
like Last Christmas for me. This one I was like, oh, I really enjoyed this a lot. And I guess maybe it's just, again, like you were saying earlier, you're going into it without the expectations, you know, and you're also going in with the expectations of remembering the last time you watched it, and so kind of knowing what it is.
Yeah.
And so it feels like slipping into something comfortable more so than like what it was the first time, where it was like, what is this? You know?
Yeah, like things that I remember resenting on the show, like it's not even about Christmas. There's just like trees in the background when they're at a restaurant. And
Right.
now like that didn't bother me, you know, however many years later.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was like really fun and funny, and I liked seeing Capaldi in like bouncing off a river. And I liked their sort of their like dynamic, because it was a very different dynamic from Matt Smith and even from David Tennant, because David Tennant was just confused the whole time. But in this case, you know, it was kind of like a reverse, actually. It was like it kind of formed a Tenet, if you will. But it, you know, because you start off, she meets him and he doesn't know her, and now on their last meeting, she doesn't recognize him. And so like, it's like kind of a nice, I don't know, bookends to that, to their relationship.
And I think Moffat really mined some really fun screwball romantic comedy out of like, oh, he doesn't know, or she doesn't know that he knows.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a lot of fun with this one. And the last 10 minutes, the whole restaurant sequence is really, really nice. And like the reveal that their last night together is 24 years long is like pretty cool. And actually, in retrospect, it adds to the fact that we went a whole year before another episode, because during that year, those were the 24 years that he was spending with River.
Yep.
And so when we
Aw.
see him again in Mysterio, it's like, it feels like an eternity. And he's like, yeah, I haven't done anything for 24 years. I've just hung out with River.
There's a moment with him and Goku where he's like, oh, 24 years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this one played really, really well for me this time. What are your thoughts on it, Cass?
Yeah, I was once again surprised by how much I enjoyed it, because I was kind of dreading rewatching it.
Mhm.
Because like in my mind, like Voyage of the Damned, I was like, oh yeah, I really like this one, and I don't like the River Song one. And then I watched Voyage of the Damned. I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I watched Husbands of River Song, and I was like, oh, this is so charming.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm into this
Yeah.
one.
It's so breezy. Like
Mhm.
there's a plot, and there's even like kind of a cool plot where like it's classic River, where she pretended to marry a guy because she wants the diamond in his brain.
Yeah.
And that's really fun. And like the Moffat episodes aged interestingly for me, and we'll talk about it more. But this was one that like really held up, and I think was really him at his best. Where the jokes and the cuteness and the even like it played really well.
It was also like the sort of horniness that Moffat endows into some
That's
of
the
his
word,
episodes was a little more playful
Yeah.
here rather than like kind of icky. Like it didn't make me now the horniness made me feel icky in Husbands of River Song.
That's because they have really good chemistry.
Yeah.
With each other, which is surprising because like all we see River with is like Matt Smith basically.
Right.
But like,
right.
yeah, I don't know.
And then there's even that joke where Capaldi's like, why does everything have to be sexy? Like, why can't it just be like it just I love that.
Yeah,
It's
the dynamic was just somehow more even. I don't know. Maybe it was just circumstances.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was just fun seeing 12 off his game.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Either off his game or pretending to be off his game.
Oh yeah. Like,
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. The TARDIS.
I get to do it properly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, so if we're talking qualitative, I think where are you? I'm curious for you.
Wow, I don't know.
Which one is just better to you? Like just on a structure, story, episode level.
I'm gonna go with Voyage of the Damned because it was a little bit like finding out that like a buddy you used to know has like an old voicemail you never heard.
Oh sure, your dead friend.
Yeah, my dead friend, the Russell T Davies version of Doctor Who. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, I remember this. And so like that totally affected it, and like but I also just really appreciated like the story and just like what he learns at the end of it, of like, or not what he doesn't learn, but just what like happens to him.
Yeah. We didn't even mention this is the first appearance of Bernard Cribbins, which was the best part of the episode.
Oh hell yeah,
Bernard Cribbins showing up and be like, "What do you expect? The last 2 Christmases, it's been a nightmare down here."
yeah, that was great.
That was so good.
And the reveal that the Queen has refused to leave Windsor or Buckingham Palace, and he's like, I'm not going to leave either. I'm going to stay here in my little newspaper shack because that's what our sovereign's doing.
Yeah. God bless her.
Bless her. I was like,
Oh
the
man.
best.
And then I was like, and I was just, all I could think was like, this is the man that's going to be responsible for your death.
You just met the man
You
who's
just,
going to
you
kill
just
you.
met him. You just met the man who's going to kill you. And he's just like working at a newspaper stand.
Hello.
Ah,
Christmas,
Bless his
in it.
heart. Okay, so quality, I got to give it to Husbands of River Song for me.
oh,
I think it's a better
Nice.
episode. Yeah. You too, right?
yes.
Okay. Probably goes without saying, but got to hear it. Okay. Rewatchability.
I think I'm going to go with Voyage of the Damned too.
Mm-hmm.
There's like kind of a dry spell with me when they get to the restaurant, but then they get me back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this was more consistent.
For you.
Voyage of the Damned for me was more consistently entertaining.
Okay. Cass?
This one's difficult.
If I said to you, you have to watch one of these again before Christmas, which one are you watching?
River Song.
Well, then there's your answer. There you go. And yeah, same for me. It's River Song.
Nice.
Even though Voyage of the Dam, I was the one that I was the least looking forward to because it was the one that I feel like I was like, yeah, I get it. It's a Titanic side adventure.
They all die.
Whatever. Yeah, but then like rewatching it again, and maybe it was like the Doctor with a companion who's seeing the universe for the first time. I had Nick who had never seen the episode.
Oh,
so
bless.
maybe I was living a little vicariously through him. But I was surprised by how much I ended up enjoying it in terms of the Russell T episodes. But yeah, I still have to give it to River Song for me. So then there's this one's interesting. Holiday Spirit.
They both to me feel more like New Year's Eve episodes.
They're both very low key.
Yeah.
Very low key Christmas specials.
adult Christmas.
Yeah. Man.
Husbands of River Song, definitely more romantic.
More romantic, less Christmas iconography. I think I have to give it to Voyage of the Dam for that.
I think it just
Yeah.
wins by default.
By default, yeah.
The angels,
Right.
the robot angels.
Right. And then them just going down on Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
you know.
Wilf, the spirit of Christmas.
Right. He just mentions Christmas more
Mhm.
in that episode.
Yeah.
So
There's all the weird, like, what the future thinks Christmas was like in the past
Right.
jokes.
right. So that is 5. Oh, no, that's an upset. That's 5 votes for
Voyage of the Damned?
Voyage of the Damned. Because he voted for it, right? 3 for him. He did all 3 Voyage of the Damned, and we both gave it 1 for Christmas Spirit.
Yeah.
And then that's only 4 for
Wow.
wow, I didn't see that one coming.
By a
All
No,
right.
hair.
I didn't either.
Husbands of River Song gets eliminated. So that is that's going to Voyage of the Damned. All right. If you guys are wondering, round 1 is always going to take longer because we actually have to talk about the episodes. Whereas in the next rounds, we don't have to. We just have to talk about them against each other. Okay, our next matchup in round 1 is this one's a rough one. I think this.
Oh.
I mean to a certain extent, but it's the End of Time Part 2 versus A Christmas Carol. Now, End of Time Part 2, of course, Russell T Davies, Euros Lynn, aired on New Year's Day. David Tennant's regeneration story. Christmas Carol, the next Christmas special. The following year, the first Matt Smith, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Toby Haynes. And of course, it's a all-timer. So,
Got Gamby.
yep, got Gamby.
Michael Gamby?
We got Gamby. One of the all-timer twists, I think, narrative twists in A Christmas Carol, in a Doctor Who episode, which is the reveal of who the ghost of
Christmas Future.
It's not called. What is it actually called? It's not
Christmas Yet to Come.
Christmas Yet to Come. Yeah. That reveal of who the ghost of Christmas Yet to Come is I think one of the best narrative twists, maybe in all of Doctor Who. I think it's I definitely top 10, maybe top 5 narrative twist. It's really, really good. Because you should have seen it coming, you know, and you don't. And when it happens, you're like, oh shit. Like it's really good.
Because it's such a like, it's so obvious. Like,
Yes.
because of the time travel thing. Like,
Right.
of course, that's what it
Yes.
is. But it's, I don't know. Oh, it's so
Yeah.
good.
And
The
it's-
reveal's so good.
Because, this one definitely hits different this time around.
Yes.
Just the plot of A
Yeah.
Christmas Carol. And really the quandary of, can a man that bad, what could redeem someone who has lived his life that selfishly and that morally bankrupt? And it's like, Moffat solves it
Right.
of like, oh, wow. Of like, yeah. Because
You can't, he can't, his argument is like, you can't change him.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is go back in time and change what made him that way in the first place.
Yeah. And like it's so hard to make redemption feel earned in stories like this. And just the fact that he not only does it, but does it in, like you said, like such an incredible narrative twist
Right.
is it's an underrated part of the episode for me, to be honest. But
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah. It's really good. So Christmas Carol, All-Timer, End of Time, Part 2. Just rewatched this one before we started recording. I watched this and Time of the Doctor before recording just now. The first 40 minutes of this is, for me, borderline unwatchable. I hate it so much. I hate all of the Master stuff in this, all of it. I think it's awful. And that includes like the 40 minutes the Master is in the previous episode in Part 1. I think
The Hungry Boy.
yeah, I think the opening 20 minutes of End of Time Part 1 and the closing 20 minutes of End of Time Part 2 are incredible. They're so good. But in this episode in particular, the last 20 minutes are really excellent, with the exception of a couple of things. I hate that when he's going around visiting everybody, getting his reward, that he's so somber. Like, he's just dour face the whole time. And I'm like, shouldn't you like express joy in this moment that you're like happy that you're seeing? It's your reward. You called it a reward and you're like mad about it. And that bums me out. I don't like that was David Tennant's acting choice. I don't know if that was in the script. Maybe it was, and it wasn't a choice. But I don't love that he's not. I wanted more wistfulness, more of a bittersweet quality to it. And instead it's just him pouting for 20 minutes about losing it. And then the other part that I don't love is like, I'm all for the tantrum that he throws when he realizes that why he's going to die. I'm all for the tantrum. I think the tantrum's good. The sort of selfish tantrum that he throws. The problem is that when he switches gears and is like, it'll be an honor to die for you. I'm like, there was like no build up to him saying that. And so it felt like, it felt like bullshit.
like where does the change happen?
Yeah, there was no shift.
Yeah, like
it
what
just was like a
shifts?
light switch.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that after he threw that whole fit, he could have like built more up to, at the end of the day, it's going to be an honor to do this for you because I have many lives and it's selfish of me not to lose one of them to save you when you only have one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like just having him say that and build up to that moment I would have felt a lot better about it. But instead it's just tantrum. Yeah, all right, it'll be an honor to do this. Okay, get out. You know, and it's like it's just like it doesn't play as well as I want it to.
Sure, for being like his last ride or his last his exit.
And in general, if we're talking about regeneration stories, I like as a regeneration story, I like that the episode sucks. Like I love that the End of Time sucks because it reminds me a lot of like Logopolis, which sucks. I mean, it's bad. But like sometimes the Doctor gets like a really pretentious, lofty send off and the episode blows. And that's kind of what this feels like to me.
It's a grand Doctor Who tradition.
Yes, it is. It feels like a Doctor Who tradition. So, like, I can't help but be charmed by how much it sucks. It's bad.
With, like, the green porcupine aliens.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's bad. It's terrible. It sucks. So, for me, this one's, I think this is obvious for me. But I did want to put it up against something that, like, felt like it was going to be hard. Mm-hmm. But I don't think this is going to be difficult for any of us, but I don't know. Cass, what are your thoughts on both of these?
I will defend End of Time by saying that like when Russell T is at his most like Russell T Davies whatever, I like that more than when Moffat is at his Moffatiest.
Interesting. I think I might agree.
Yeah. So, but Christmas Carol wins like every time. That's the only one I rewatch like constantly. So.
Sure.
Yeah, it's arguably, full disclosure, End of Time Part 2 is one of the ones I did not get to rewatch. So I can't, with authority, I can't talk about how I feel about it now, but just how I felt about it in the past, which is like, this is not how I would have chosen my favorite Doctor to leave.
Sure.
But yeah, some incredible acting by Bernard Cribbin. But I'm talking about Part 1. What am I even saying? Yeah, I think Christmas Carol is like the height of the show.
Yeah.
I think that and the Doctor's Wife is like the best the show ever got.
Arguably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're probably right.
Like, I think they're great pieces of science fiction, fantasy.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So let's qualitatively, I think it goes to Christmas Carol across the board, right?
Yes.
I think repeat watching Christmas Carol
Carol
across the board.
Yeah.
Though I will say, by not a massive margin. I think the End of Time, I watch the End of Time a lot. I do, even though it blows. I do. I watch it a lot because it feels like Doctor Who to me.
Yeah.
So
Brings more memories.
yeah, it definitely does. It makes me think about where I was and how I felt.
How hyped, how emotional you were.
Yeah, absolutely. But Christmas Carol definitely, and Holiday Spirit. I mean, Christmas Carol, without a doubt.
Without
I mean,
question.
it's even a New Year's special technically. End of Time Part 2.
Yeah.
So all right, Christmas
Marilyn, get your
Carol.
coat.
Christmas Carol moves on. To the surprise of absolutely no one listening to this.
Right.
Okay, so the next one is interesting. So this is 2011's The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, which is written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Farron Blackburn, who is a director I do not remember at all. And then we have versus 2008's The Next Doctor, written by Russell T Davies and directed by Andy Goddard. Sue, remember all those things that you said about Voyage of the Damned, Cass?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I felt about The Next Doctor. This episode's boring as shit.
Oh
I
my
hate
God.
this.
Yeah,
I was
no.
so bored. I was like crawling out of my skin. I was so bored watching this.
That's so funny. Because, like, normally, like, yeah, I was like, oh, Next Doctor, lame. But, like, both of these surprised me a lot. I think The Next Doctor is one of the better Cybermen stories.
Oh, I think I thought that too.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, like, I'm really engaged by the Cybermen in this episode.
Yeah. I like the evil Victorian lady. I don't know. It all works for me.
Oh, she was Mercy was great.
Yeah.
I actually think she's like a real like I was her whole she was like her performance is really good and like how she ended up. Oh, can the Cyber King come back?
Right?
It's a Cyber King. It's a giant walking robot factory. And I'm like, why aren't those in every episode that you're in? You
It's like a giant Cyberman mecha, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will agree with like the story wasn't like I don't know. I kind of found it like to be like the Doctor Who equivalent of like a Gotham by Gaslight, where by looking at this alt version of the Doctor, I kind of found myself like well, what is the Doctor distilled?
Mm-hmm.
And there's that scene where what's the actor that plays the but you know the guy that is like Sinclair. I think his name was like Jackson Sinclair.
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking.
But there's that scene where you find out that his TARDIS is a hot air balloon, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, what?" But then the next Doctor is like, "No, like
David Morrissey.
David Morrissey is like, I have a dream that I'm going to hop on this balloon and fly away, and all my problems are just going to be gone, and it's going to be great, and I'll finally be free to explore." And the Doctor, David Tennant, has this look of like, I know that feel, bro. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's like your origin story. Is you're a guy who just wanted to hop in a hot air balloon and get away from your hometown.
Sure.
And so like I found all these like, oh, and he helps people, and like, yeah, what is the companion in this setting? And yeah, like I just found the whole like the Cybermen plot to be really fun and interesting. And so yeah, I barely remembered this one, period. And so I was like warmed by how entertained I was by this one.
Yeah.
I was bored, and I thought that the entire conceit of the episode was built around Russell T Davies trolling the audience. And because I knew
That's fair.
because I knew that, I got no enjoyment out of it because I was like, oh my God, just get to the point. He's not the Doctor. I know. Get to the point. And it just took 40 minutes before that reveal came. And I was just like, everything that happened before this was a waste of time to me.
I guess I don't remember if I watched this the first time believing that he honestly was, or if I immediately was like, well, he's clearly not a Doctor. So why does he think he's the Doctor?
Well, the reason that it's a troll is because, and it goes along like all of these specials were just Russell T trolling everybody, because starting with the finale, with the regeneration in the finale from season 4, where the fake I'm regenerating, and then it's a cliffhanger.
Right.
They had just announced that David Tennant was going to leave, and then the next episode was that.
Yeah.
And it was just him just be like, like, I'm like, they're going to think that he's going to regenerate. It's going to be so funny. And then he's not. And then the next episode is called The Next Doctor. That's the Christmas special. And it's like, oh, we're going to meet the next Doctor.
Yeah.
And then it's this guy. And it's like, I remember,
Kind of like the name of the Doctor,
Yeah, a little bit.
where you're like, I'm gonna name the Doctor.
Yeah,
Like,
and
no,
he's like,
don't
"No, I'm
name the
not."
Doctor. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
So at least the tradition continued after RTD.
Yeah, to a certain,
of
yeah, for
trolling.
sure. But the troll of it, I can't get past that part of it, and it just feels like he created an entire story to me built out of a troll, and I don't think that the episode quite holds up for me outside of that, I guess.
Sure.
I really like the visual of the of 10 in the hot air balloon versus a giant
A toy robot.
mecha Cyberman. I think that's cool. But in general, this one's not for me. This one might be my least favorite, actually, of all of them.
That's fair.
The ending of this prompted something that I wanted to bring up just as a light discussion point. David Morrissey says, like, this beautiful man up in the sky, no one's ever thanked him. Well, not today. We're gonna can we put a moratorium on thanking the Doctor?
Yeah.
I feel like they get a fair shake.
Yeah, it's so I was like, guys, the only reasons that they don't thank him is because he bails before they can.
So anyway, that pricked me this time.
That was very much, that felt like a
It's Christmas.
No, it felt like when you mess with Spider-Man, you mess with New York.
New
When
York.
you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
You mess with the Doctor, you mess with Victorian England.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. It was like
Very
kind of a move like that.
self-congratulatory.
Yeah, just like really cheesy and like, I don't know. Yeah, this was not for me. So big old thumbs down.
I'm excited to hear you say positive things about the Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I feel like I've been waiting 10 years for this.
So the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe was an episode that I really did not like when it aired. Granted, it was coming off the heels of
The greatest episode.
the worst episode of Doctor Who.
That's right.
Which was Wedding River Song. And then we got this. And I think I was just like not in a good headspace for it. And I remember thinking, like, oh God, Matt Smith is just like in full on
Cat in the Hat
mode. And that annoyed me. But this time watching it, I really enjoyed it, even if I feel like it took a long way around to tell a short story. Like, I feel like there's not a lot of meat on the bone.
There's some chuffa.
Yeah, there's a lot of like fluff in it that I think that if they like, this should have just been like a 45-minute episode, like a regular length episode. But because it's a Christmas special, it has to be a full hour. And so there's 15 minutes in here that I feel like don't need to be there. That would be my only negative thing to say about it now. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy the whole thing. I really did. I really, really enjoyed it a lot this time. So for me, like this one is like this one's a no-brainer for me in this mashup. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna lose it.
Cass, what did you think of Doctor, the Witch, and the Wardrobe this time?
This one was also a surprise because I remember not liking it when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it this time. This one was the only one that like moved me to tears. Usually, like a few of them do, but yeah, it's been, I don't know. I've only like watched it twice. So this one was surprising. I really liked seeing Matt Smith in his full, like, I'm going to make sure that these kids have fun because they're children, you know?
Yeah, it really, maybe it's just the passing of time, but like that aspect of him is just really lovely to me.
Yeah.
And now that we're like 2 Doctors removed, it becomes more special.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like this one.
I just want to give a shout out to, I think the reason a lot of the emotional stuff works is because of Claire Skinner.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially that like emotional finale. I think that could veer into like, come on, like eye-rolly sentimentality, but she's so good and Matt Smith is so good with her that I think that it pays off.
No, it's really good. And you know what? There's no problem with I think with a little sentimentality around Christmas.
It's Christmas,
especially something like that where it's like a family reunited. There's a difference between that and everyone thank this man that never gets thanked. Like that sucks. But this
Yeah.
a family being reunited on Christmas. That's nice.
In a
That's
good
just
way.
nice.
It feels like a Hallmark commercial, kind of like the
Yeah.
world, the dad, like unabashedly, it's Christmas Day. Like the pilot gets to go home. The dad gets to see his family.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Bill
so-
Bailey.
Yeah, Bill Bailey. A wasted Bill Bailey.
For sure.
Still, I think I said that then, and I maintain that now, as opposed to the Nick Frost switchover
Right,
that I
right.
have. I think this was a waste of Bill Bailey because he rules, and this was this was a waste. Okay, so qualitatively, which one's the better episode? Next Doctor or the Doctor, the Widow, the Wardrobe?
This one's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah,
I think
like
everybody knows my answer.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
For
so-
sure. Because you're right. Like there's like a chunk of like I know I say I could watch Matt Smith wander through the woods and just saying stuff, but like you don't have to have it.
Right.
I don't know, Cass. What do you think?
Yeah, because this is the one of the ones that you switched up.
I think I'm gonna go. My gut. I'm gonna go with qualitative. The Next Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Okay, so that's 2-1. Rewatchability. Once again, I'm going Doctor, Widow, Wardrobe to the surprise of no one
Next
at this point.
Doctor.
I'm gonna also vote for Doctor Witch in the Wardrobe
Okay.
for rewatchability because this has like an annual holiday vibe to it.
Mm-hmm. So that's 3-3. So holiday spirit. Which one has more? If you're talking the first 30 seconds of an episode, I would vote for Next Doctor. Otherwise, I have to go with Doctor, Widow, and the Wardrobe.
Yeah, that one. I mean, there's like a forest full of Christmas trees, so.
Yeah,
Me as well.
with organic ornaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And like the Doctor like making the Christmas tree for Cyril and like just the aesthetic of like it's like World War II in London and the winter and the Blitz and Narnia.
yeah.
Moffat always found a way to thread the needle between science fiction and fairy tale. And
Yeah.
I think this is one of his better fairy tales.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Next Doctor gave a good fight, but the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe is going on to the next round. So our next matchup is 2012's The Snowmen, written by Stephen Moffat, directed by Saul Medstein, and Resolution, the first New Year's Day holiday special on New Year's Day, not counting End of Time Part 2 because it's a Part 2. But this is Chris Chibnall and directed by Wayne Yip. So
Is this the one where Graham says yippee-ki-yay robots?
I don't
No.
know. That's Spy Hard, right? Isn't that Spy Hard?
It didn't happen in either of those, so maybe it was in part 2.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it might have been in Spy Hard Part 2. That bit.
Spy
You think?
Hard.
Yeah. What is it?
Spyfall.
Is it? Oh, Spyfall.
Spy Hard's that hilarious Leslie Nielsen movie.
Right. Spyfall. Yeah. Okay. So Resolution versus the Snowmen. Cass, why don't you start?
I think I'm going to surprise you guys by saying I love the Snowmen. Another surprise.
Yeah, that is a surprise.
Were all three of us lukewarm on this one
I
back in
think
2012?
so.
Very much so. Very much so.
Well, we had just seen Dark Knight Rises.
Sure.
And
Put a
so
sour taste in our mouths.
we were over the like, something bad happened to me. I'm going to go away for 12 years.
Yeah, I think we were pretty like. I think part of it too was Time of the Angels was like. We were like, really? Like why are you so? What makes these companions so special that you're so tore up that they lived to death? They didn't even die; they lived to death.
it
Which is
wrecks you.
exactly what happens to him in his regeneration story.
Yeah, it's not like they blew up in a rocket
Yeah,
Yeah.
in front of you.
right. And also killed the dinosaurs.
Of course.
Let us not forget. Yeah, this was nice. I love seeing the Why Are They Here Brigade again.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're so
I'm-
fun.
We've just totally turned around on them. I think what they just needed a nickname. As soon as we gave them a nickname, we like named them like a pet we don't want.
The
You know,
the
And,
me-
like
the memory worm is like such a great joke.
Yeah.
Of like when he comes back into the frame. it's
Yeah.
like, where's what?
yeah.
I miss.
remember-
Please.
Oh, I remember because I stopped watching Doctor Who after this because I watched Bells of St. John, I think, the first half of it. And I was like, this sucks. I'm done. But I remember really liking Clara in this episode. So, like, when she showed up in Bells of St. John, I was like, well, where's that Clara? Like, I like I like Victorian Clara.
Sure. Because she's a tavern wench, which is your jam.
Yes. She has a great wardrobe. I love
Well, she's a tavern wench who moonlights as
a nanny.
a whimsical nanny.
As like a Mary Poppins, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something about like Victorian England around Christmas time too. That whole aesthetic, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, full disclosure, I did not get a chance to rewatch Resolution, and this was probably the episode that I, no pun intended, listeners, the coldest on. Upon
Snowmen?
the snowmen.
Okay.
Upon a rewatch. We talked earlier about how Lion, the Witch, and the Ward. I'm never going to call it by the right name. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, and other episodes was like Moffat at his best. This was kind of when he started relying. To me, it got a little hacky, where it's like, I wish I loved anything as much as Stephen Moffat loved saying Doctor Who in the show Doctor Who.
Yeah.
It happens like 4 times in this.
He live tweeted Christmas Carol the other day. He like created his like 17th Twitter account because that's what he does. He creates a new Twitter account and then he deletes it just to do a live tweet.
Great.
Because he doesn't want to be on Twitter anymore because people yelled at him.
Sure.
And that's what the episode Listen was about. He made fun of himself for that. He was like, wow. If there was a rule, if there, like something about like there should be a rule for someone who uses the title of their show as dialogue in their show, so that I would have been fired a lot earlier or something like that. He said,
and I don't know, like when Clara kisses the Doctor, it feels weird, and like their flirting feels like I remember thinking like, oh, I think this is how Scott feels about Rose and Ten. And then it all leads up. It's all a teaser to how awesome and cool and mind blowing the Impossible Girl mystery is going to be.
Yeah.
And so it like just I loved Ian McKellen and Richard E. Grant, and I loved seeing Jenny and Vastra and Strax again. I thought that were really fun. But yeah, most of the episode to me felt like a waste of time.
Interesting. I'm with you, Cass. I had a lot of fun watching it this time.
Yeah.
I think this was I don't know. Like I don't know. I mean, I think I quickly discovered how much I missed like 11's vibe.
Oh, sure.
And it was restrained in this episode because of the nature of like his character arc in this episode. But I still like I just love his little he gets little jabs in sometimes and just throws them out there, and if you don't hear it, you don't hear it. But like I don't know, there's something that I really really like about that, where you were talking about that quote that somebody said where Matt Smith's Doctor is like an old man's idea of a young man, and like he's so crotchety in this episode, but like he still has that like sort of youthful spark about him every once in a while.
There are times when I think he's the best actor to ever play the role.
That's entirely possible. I mean, David Tennant is up there, and I would have loved to have seen him do more. That was like less. Well, the thing about it is the reason that he worked so well in that era is because he's such a good classically trained actor that he elevates the really campy stuff.
Sure.
He
knows how to play to the seats.
Yeah, and he just grounds it too.
Yeah,
he knows how to
true.
ground it, how to balance it.
Yeah.
I think it's the juxtaposition of him being so young, Matt Smith,
Sure.
and being so good at playing old.
Yeah,
Especially in The Snowman, where you really feel like he's like this old, crotchety old man with the hat. I love the hat too.
Yeah.
It's a great hat.
yeah. I really like this one.
I love the because we were talking about earlier about how Moffat really relies on, but like plays with the fairy tale aspect of Doctor Who, and like the image of that spiral staircase in the clouds, like that rocks.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, it's like the purest. Yeah, it's dreamlike.
Yeah.
It's like a Hans Christian Andersen.
it's even great when she falls off of it. Oof. That's the sound she made.
No,
when she landed.
Scott, no. It's Christmas.
It was a slow death too. That's the worst thing. It wasn't even instant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and then the I do like the gag where the doctor is Sherlock Holmes. I think that I thought, and they play the Sherlock theme for like a half a second.
Oh,
I
is
think
that what
that's
that
fun.
is? Okay.
Yeah. I thought that was fun. I don't know. It's stupid and it's
Yeah.
like meta, but like I thought it was.
It was
fun.
also because I was like, that was him, the return of the Cat in the Hat Doctor.
Uh-huh.
That was him showing like, I'm back in the game, I'm having fun.
Yeah. And it was also like, so it was like funny because it's like, oh yeah, Moffat writes Sherlock and he's playing Sherlock, but it was also funny because, you know, the legend, which is that he cast Matt Smith, and when he cast Matt Smith, he was like, I'm just going to cast you as either one. Your choice.
Oh, right.
Do you want to play the Doctor or do you want to play Sherlock? Because I will cast you in either one. And then he ended up picking the Doctor, and then Benedict Cumberbatch goes over to Sherlock. But so like I just like that, like we get like a little taste of what his Sherlock would have been, which I think is fun. I don't know. So Resolution, epic opening. I really like the epic opening. Like it made it feel like big,
Yeah.
you know, in a way that I really liked. And then there's the stuff like the I guess the horror of it, like him turning like a Dalek turning a person into his like Cassie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. And I remember that actress was just so great.
She was really good.
I remember just being, I'm not often unsettled
Yeah.
by Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And that was like unsettling.
Yeah.
In a really effective way.
I think Resolution is a good episode. I don't like that it's called Resolution and not Resolution of the Dalek.
Yeah.
Because I think it should be, but he didn't want to spoil it. He didn't want to spoil that a Dalek was in this because the Daleks hadn't shown up yet in this era. So it was going to be a big deal. I get it. But like now in retrospect, I feel like it should be called Resolution of the Dalek.
Sure.
But it's yeah, I mean, it's a good episode. I like it. I enjoy it. I really do. It's one of the best of, I think, 13's era.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had found time to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. Qualitatively, which episode's better? This one's actually tough for me. I think I'm going to give it to Resolution. I think it's a better written episode.
I'm going to assume that I would agree with you if I had rewatched Resolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then rewatchability,
Snowman.
I'm going to give it to the Snowman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess like if the question is like which one would you rewatch again first?
Right.
You know, the Snowman probably.
And then Christmas.
I mean, yes.
Yeah,
that's
fair.
Snowman.
That's not even fair. Yeah. Yeah. So there we go. So that's the Snowman. Moving on to the next round.
They're silly.
Okay. Twice Upon a Time versus The Time of the Doctor. That is the two Moffat regeneration stories.
One of them is the last Moffat episode ever.
Yep. Twice Upon a Time. Last Moffat episode ever. So we just watched Time of the Doctor right before starting this recording. I still really enjoy it. It is not even close to Twice Upon a Time to me. I think Twice Upon a Time is beautiful in a way, like not only is it great as a regeneration story, and the fact that, you know, you're syncing up the first Doctor of a new regeneration cycle with the first Doctor of the previous regeneration cycle, and they're both having trouble letting go. I think that's really good. I also love that the message of the episode on a metatextual level, in the same way that the I don't want to go was Russell T Davies saying, I don't want to let go of the show, but I know it's time, but I don't want to go. Mm-hmm. This is Moffat being like, hey, I don't ever want to leave this show. I kind of just want it to end with me, but I also know that that's not how this show is supposed to work. Mm-hmm. That's the history of the Doctor, is that he goes on, that the Doctor goes on and goes into new adventures that I'm not going to be a part of, and I have to let go of that. And I think that's beautiful. I think that I love this episode. I think it's fantastic. Time of the Doctor is very good, and I think I'm impressed by how much Moffat got done in that episode, even if all of it doesn't quite hang together, and some of it really does feel like somebody writing the essay the night before before it's due. But I still really enjoy myself watching the episode. But it's a no brainer for me that the Twice Upon a Time is, because I think they're about equal on Christmas and whatnot for me. But
Christmas in the time of war, right?
Right. Yeah. They save the Christmas. The Christmas is a reveal at the end of the episode, because the whole time you're like, where's the Christmas? Just because it's snow. And then you get the Christmas at the very, very end.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I did not get to rewatch Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah. But I love Twice Upon a Time. I think it's incredible. So that's where my vote's going. What about you, Cass?
Time of the Doctor still sucks.
Okay.
That's the only one that I didn't like flip flop on. I still don't like it.
I found a lot of Time of the Doctor to be really emotionally effective because, listener, like 2% of the silent storyline has stayed in my brain. I didn't know if that worked this time around. You know what I mean? Like the reveal, the church and what they were doing. So like just taken as like a fairy tale legend of how the 11th Doctor died. I found to be really, I just like him staying in a town. I just found it to be kind of like, kind of what we keep saying, where it feels like it didn't have to be an hour. It could have just been like a fairy tale or a storybook.
Sure.
But I was just blown away by Matt Smith's performance in this episode and how he's able to nail each stage of this Doctor and play him to like his age. You feel it. And you also feel like the sorrow and like I don't know, like how Moffat really stretched 11 to his limits to where when he regenerates, I'm almost like relieved. Like I'm sad when 10 dies, but I'm like, oh boy, like you earned a rest.
Yeah. I get what he's trying to do with the Doctor, and like where it's like, okay, he knows that he's not going to regenerate this time. So he's just going to hang out in this town and he's not going to leave, and he's just going to protect it because it's the only thing he can do. And so he's just going to keep going, keep protecting until he dies of old age. And I get that, and I like that. I think it would have been better if he was doing it on Earth. Like if he had found a town in Earth, where he did that, I think it would have been way better than like this fictional Christmas town. Yeah, on Trenzalore.
And it's only Trenzalore to like make the essay make sense.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Whereas, but you could have done Trenzalore, and like he could have found another way to make Trenzalore a thing. Maybe it was a town called Trenzalore.
Yeah.
Like a village in England called Trenzalore. Like whatever.
Yeah. And I will say this is a weird episode from Clara's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think I said this out loud to Scott. I'm happy for her that 11 regenerated. Because like there's some weird relationship politics in this episode.
Yeah.
And there was some Moffat ickiness where like they're both, you go out of your way to tell us that they're both really naked.
Right.
And then you're like, am I supposed to be thinking about that for the rest of the episode? Is that they're naked? Like why? And like they were like, I don't know.
There's a moment where she was like, they appear outside like on Trenzalore in the snow, and she's like cold.
I'm cold.
He's like putting his arms around her and like warming her up. I'm like, stop it, she's naked.
You
Stop
told
doing
us they're
that.
naked.
You told me that she was naked. Stop touching her.
But and then like she gets her like an angel grabs her ankle and she's like, oh, my boot. And he's like, you're not wearing a boot, remember? And then they tumble through the snow together. And I'm like, you just made me remind myself that they're naked.
Yeah.
Now I'm supposed to believe that they're not like dying of it was weird. And so
not into that.
And this was kind of the part where I'm like, wow, I don't want like I miss the Moffat era, but I'm also like, this wasn't perfect and like this needed to die. Or just it was time to move on because this was like as big as it ever got. And he really made you appreciate how big a scope the Matt Smith era got.
Yeah.
And I was like, bravo.
And how much smaller 12 got and how much it was better for it as a result.
Yeah, I think
also would Cyberman.
Yeah.
I think Time of the Doctor and like watching Time of the Doctor and End of Time and comparing them, like that's where I get my like, okay, I can handle Russell T at his like maximum, but like watching Time of the Doctor, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of done with this.
The part where the crack just spits him out a new set of regenerations, I guess.
Yeah, it was a crack to Gallifrey.
Crack to Gallifrey.
crack to Gallifrey.
So how are we voting on this? This is interesting.
We didn't get thoughts on Twice Upon a Time, Cass. What was your rewatch of that? Because you weren't crazy about it.
I liked it. I liked it just fine. It's kind of middling in the list for me.
Sure,
but I like it.
I also really like. Yeah, I like it too, though. That like he uses the first Doctor to comment on the first half of his time as showrunner, like where he's saying inappropriate things, and he's just like, "You can't."
Yeah.
Please just stop. Like you can tell that Moffat is really embarrassed by the way that he used to write stuff. Because you could tell that, like, I think Listen was the first example. That episode was him being like, I kind of messed up, guys. I kind of messed up, and I can see that now, you know? And I don't know what it was that switched over, but I really think that episode was him being like, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. What if I use the Doctor to do some reflection as like this time that I've spent running this like British institution?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So qualitatively, Twice Upon a Time for me.
Yes.
I feel weird voting for or against something I haven't seen in a long time.
Sure.
I think I'm just tapping into my emotions, what I remember, and I do think I remember being really impressed by Twice Upon a Time as an episode.
Okay, so Twice Upon a Time, qualitatively, rewatch Twice Upon a Time for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep.
I want to watch it now. Sure. And I don't want to watch Time of the Doctor again.
Well, there you go.
So I'm technically voting for Twice
okay, and holiday feels. That's tricky. I think that there's enough. I feel like the Christmas stuff. Well, but the Christmas meal stuff.
Can we talk about the weird vibes at the Oswald family residence?
Yeah, that was pretty weird. There was some weird vibes for sure. But that's also Christmas.
That's Christmas for
Christmas.
sure. Absolutely. Respect.
I think that the massive Christmas vibes of the end of Twice Upon a Time takes over the overall like Christmas vibe across the whole episode of Time of the Doctor.
The town is called Christmas.
Yeah. I feel like it's a little too surface level in Time of the Doctor, whereas Twice Upon a Time, it ends up having like a thematic resonance, which I like more. So I'm going to go with Twice Upon a Time, but I will say it is close. I think it's close.
I think for sheer Christmasness, the town's called Christmas, so Time of the Doctor.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, town called Christmas. The Doctor repairs toys.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that means Twice Upon a Time moves on.
Interesting. I also really love Capaldi's speech at the end. That's a really good.
It is a really good speech. You're absolutely right, and it's like resonant for her.
Yeah,
she like that's like now that like watching it again, and now that we've seen 2 series of her, I was like listening to him talk, and I'm like, oh, he's literally describing her, like everything that he says to do, and like, hey, don't do this, but do this, but don't act like this, and like he's just describing her.
She listens.
Yeah, she listened. Yeah, she did. Yeah, that's true. All right, so we're back. We had to take a little break, but we're back now, and we're going to continue round 1 of the Doctor Who Holiday Special bracket with The Runaway Bride 2006, which is both the introduction of Donald Noble and the second Christmas special ever, written by Russell T Davies and directed by Euros Lyn. Which is also true of The End of Time.
Euros Lyn.
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. If there were like a Doctor Who Hall of Fame.
Oh, he'd definitely be there.
We should get that going. We should have that to like a feature on the show.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
That would actually be a really good like a special bonus episode or something during the hiatus at some point. We like come up with what our
Like we look up how many,
or maybe we do it every year. We like induct people into the Hall of Fame. That would be fun.
We do like an initial like half dozen, like 6, and then we just do like one every year.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like one of us could be like, I nominate Rachel Talali,
right?
And then we like talk about it.
We do the initial 10 because the show's been going for 10 years
for sure. Oh yeah,
and then we do like one every year. I think that would be.
Are we
cool.
doing like
classic? It's been
stuff
going for
too?
11 years now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like Verity Lambert would absolutely have to be like,
I mean, she would be
The
on the Mount
first.
Rushmore.
yeah, she's on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Like we have to like separate. Like there's a Mount Rushmore
And then the Hall
of
of
Doctor
Fame.
Who, and then there's the Hall.
Or
of
you
Fame.
know, like in basketball when you like retire a jersey, but I
Yeah.
don't know whether you hang the jersey up on the stadium.
Yeah.
Verity Lambert.
Yeah. So there is the Runaway Bride, the introduction to Donna Noble, and her getting married in the first time we see her and the last time, which is nice. So there's the Runaway Bride, and then that's going up against Spyfall Part 1.
Which I watched
Oh yeah, because we took a break.
because we took a break.
Yeah, you watched Spyfall Part 1. So Spyfall Part 1, of course, not a traditional holiday special, actually, at all. It just happened to air on New Year's Day.
And we're counting it for technical reasons.
We're counting it for technical reasons because this bracket wouldn't work without it. So Spyfall Part 1, written by Chris Chibnall, directed by Jamie Magnus Stone. This is the
Season 12 premiere.
yeah. Does this ends with the plane?
This
right?
Yes.
This ends with the
Okay.
cliffhanger on the plane.
Okay.
And
For
the
some
doctor
reason,
being
I
in, like,
always
the-
remember that being part 2, but yeah. I guess so. Okay,
And
cool.
then like technically it's like the ending is like the doctor being in this weird netherworld, but like yeah, the plane is way cooler.
yeah, that's true. Okay,
This doctor's in a lot of netherworlds.
yeah, they're easy to make. The sets are easy.
It's the new quarry.
Yeah. It's either quarries or nether regions. Like that
Why?
happens all the time in Classic Who.
I appear to be in some kind of void, Yaz.
God, if they could only figure out the quarry nether region.
Like a quarry with
Combo.
After Effects on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they have done a quarry with After Effects on it.
Mhm.
Isn't the Matrix basically a quarry with After Effects?
Yeah, because he goes inside it and it's just a quarry.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You'll find out about the Matrix.
I love Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So do we want to start with Runaway Bride? Because
Yeah, so Runaway Bride. I rewatched this and I love Donna Noble. However, and I think the ending is very important, in terms of like 10 and knowing what his deal is, and where he's heading. I don't think we have Waters of Mars without the ending of Runaway Bride. However, I don't love this. I feel like it's a lot of running around and just kind of running in circles. And I don't like how mean it is to Donna. Granted, she's not a great person in this episode, so like maybe that's part of it, is like she deserves it a little bit. She deserves to be like mean, but like I feel like it crosses a line a few times that like makes me uncomfortable. And sad, like inside myself. So like I have trouble with this one. This is not one that I rewatch a lot because it makes me sad. It makes me too sad. Because I love Donna so much and I
Right.
don't like hearing people be mean to her.
Aw.
So I don't know. That's my feelings on it. What about you guys?
I think this is my favorite Russell T Christmas special. I think for me it's aged the best. And I really like Donna, and it was nice to see her again. Because I didn't like this the very first time I saw it.
Well, because we didn't know that she was going to be a companion.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this one. The Christmas tree gag, with the like ornaments that are bombs or whatever, played better for me than Christmas Invasion, because he did that twice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Santas twice.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked all the
He
Christmas.
just doubled up on both things.
Yeah, I liked it better in this one than I did in Christmas Invasion.
I think I like the angels more than the angels in
Voyage of the Damned.
Voyage of the Damned, more than I like any of the other ones, even though those are like a copy of a copy.
That's
Sure.
funny.
I think that I think they're better. I like their vibe. I like their like,
The Comfort and Joy Santas are really iconic, though.
yeah, that's true. That is very true. Although every single time every single time they're walking through that shopping center, when you first see them in Christmas Invasion, I think they're Autons. And I don't know why,
Sure.
but it always makes me think of Autons because I guess of the shopping scene in Rose. And so they conflate in my head.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm always like half expecting them to be
Do you think when
Autons.
do you think when they came back in Runaway Bride, there was like a shopkeeper that was like, "Oi, you lot,
You again?
get out of here!"
They've got guns in their horns. What about you? What about you, Nick?
I love the first like 30 minutes of this. Everything from the like beginning to when they get to the wedding to me is just all-time fun. And there's like, and I love Donna Noble. I love David Tennant and Catherine Tate's chemistry. And there were just so many moments in this, like Santa's a robot, just with so much bitterness. And I just love what Donna brings out of 10. And I love watching that chemistry like start, kind of like a big bang in this episode. And then it kind of loses me when it goes into running around sewer places. But then there's moments in it. There's one moment I never noticed before, but like when they're underground and Donna's like, I can't believe they built a base under a national landmark. And the doctor's like, I know, love. Just like such a small moment. I actually there's a part where Donna's fiance just dunks on her for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it kind of hit me in a because we mentioned this earlier in the last part of the episode. I love Donna because she's to me represents something that Russell T Davies brought to the show, where she is so ordinary and so exceptional. And every Stephen Moffat character, particularly the female ones, have to be clever, have to be witty, have to be adorable, have to not be into boys and not have crushes and not be like, oh, muscles, like, and Donna is like reads tabloid magazines and listen to trashy pop music and follows celebrities' lives and like isn't super cerebral and smart and probably didn't have a Marcus Aurelius poster on her wall, Clara. And a villain like the fiance is like, I hate her, she's annoying. And like, I've thought things like that about people, especially now in Twitter, where we like dunk on people for like liking trashy stuff or like being kind of like not, like look at this cringy Instagram post that this person made in their backyard with their family, and so the way that the doctor was able to see through that and actually see that Donna's a good person, I was like, oh, that actually kind of like that, and that resonates with me now differently in 2020, where like Donna probably would be a person that we would judge, or a lot of people would judge, and the fact that she gets to see the birth of the universe to go on this crazy adventure, I had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, the Arrakis scene is dark AF. It might be the darkest moment of the show, and it ends on a downer. But a lot of the Russell T Davies Christmas ones ended on downers. This one plays really well as a sequel to Christmas Invasion.
Yeah.
There's even that scene where he like reflects on the Christmas dinner that you talked about.
Yeah.
And how much that like impacted him.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot of fun going back to this one.
Okay. So then, Spyfall. It's I mean, it's the start of, I think the best season of 13 so far.
Yeah. A season-long mystery.
Right. It has a really great twist with the reveal of the Master, which is was unexpected because we didn't think there was any way that they were going to bring the Master back that quickly. So that was cool.
It was even a little risky to do it that quickly.
Yeah. And I think that I don't love the episode itself. I like a lot of elements of it. But I'm not into like the James Bond thing so much. And so like them riffing on that wasn't my favorite thing. But it's fine.
Sure.
And I don't know. She's really good in that episode. So I like it. Yes, I like it, but it's also not a, it's not technically a holiday special. So
in a lot of ways, it's the first chapter of a story.
Right. I feel like it kind of, in terms of this bracket, I don't know that it holds up as a choice for the bracket, but we'll talk about it. What are your guys' thoughts? Cass, did you rewatch it?
Yeah, I did. I watched all
Okay.
of them.
Okay.
It was nice to see this crew again.
Sure.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I like gained an appreciation for it or anything, because like,
Sure.
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's fun. I like it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I kind of agree with what you said, Scott, where there's so many elements of this that I like. And I actually really dig the James Bond techno spy elements, because to me, it's an example of Chibnall doing something that maybe Moffat and RTD wouldn't have in their mindset.
Sure.
And there's like moments where like O, aka the Master, played by Sacha Dhawan,
Right.
is like going into like how governments have given these private companies such power, and it's created this new world order. And I'm like, that's actually, having the Doctor dealing with that is really interesting. Unfortunately, it doesn't go deep, which is kind of happens a lot with stuff like in the series, where they raise these interesting questions, like the Kerblam episode, you know? Like Cass said, I love this crew. There's so many fun moments. Like the little moments of them just bouncing off each other are arguably more fun than the episode, which has fun elements, but it kind of becomes really rudimentary. Like there's like, they're like running from monsters. They're trapped in a building. Also, I really like the Spyfall theme, or the Spyfall theme, when they're like at the casino. It was the first time that I really like noticed the score, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool.
It's also a waste of Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets wasted.
Yeah, no, I know. Like literally a waste of Stephen Fry. Okay, so let's do. Okay, which episode is better? The better episode. I'm gonna go with Runaway Bride.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to as well.
Okay, so that's 3 points for Runaway Bride. Rewatchability, I'm going to go with Spyfall.
Interesting.
Because I think I will end up watching it more often than Runaway Bride.
Doesn't make you sad.
Right, it doesn't make me sad like Runaway Bride does. Sad for my friend that I have in real life.
Oh, I think Runaway Bride maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost think I will continue to watch Runaway, and I actually think this might be. I kept thinking about how much fun my parents would have with this one. Like, I think this is kind of a stealth gateway episode.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, and then Holiday Spirit. I mean, I think that's a Runaway Bride across the board for us.
You know that thing where Rocky would go to a fight and he'd be like, "Look, Rock, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, you're here to lose."
Yeah, that's the Spyfall. Yeah, yeah. It's really only here on a technicality anyway, but we want to give it its day in court. Okay, so Runaway Bride is the answer. And oh nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I was on the wrong thing. Okay, and then our final matchup in round 1 is The End of Time Part 1 versus 2016's The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Dr. Mysterio, written by Stephen Moffat and directed by Ed Bazalgette. I think
Dr. Mysterio was also Stephen Moffat's DJ name in the 90s.
Okay. So End of Time Part 1. Really, really love the first 20 minutes of this. Love everything with Bernard Cribbins in this and his Christmassy crew of old people trying to find the Doctor. Really, really into all that. Love the conversation between him and David Tennant, where David Tennant is describing what it feels like to regenerate. All of that is really good. Absolutely anything in this with anyone else sucks so much that I want to fast forward through it. I hate all the stuff with Martian Manhunter, and I hate all of the Master stuff with the eating and the over enunciating stuff, like he's over enunciating food like he's Gollum.
Yeah.
I don't understand I don't know what's going on. It's a choice. It's certainly a choice, and he goes for it. But I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want to watch it.
What's the opposite of like an ASMR trigger?
Oh man,
Is that what it is for you?
yeah, I think so. I think that is what it is. It makes me crawl out of my skin.
Like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah.
Mm.
I hate it. So end of time part 1. You know, again, just like I talked about with part 2, it's like Logopolis in that it sucks, it's terrible, and I love it despite how bad it is. Because it's just part of Doctor Who to me. Is like sometimes the regeneration story is not going to be good. And that's how I feel about this. But there's enough in here that I'm charmed by, like the Bernard Cribbin stuff, that, you know, I enjoy watching it. But yeah, no, that's a big old nope for me on that one. What do you guys think? Cass?
I think part 2 is better.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this one, and it was kind of weird watching it, because you mentioned Gollum, so like I've done all of like Lord of the Rings podcast. I was like, oh yeah, Jon Sim would be a pretty good Gollum. But yeah, no, I
don't know that that's a compliment.
I mean, I don't know. We were talking about recasting the movie recently, so I was just like, oh. But yeah, no, I like the Old People Brigade. I think that's really fun. I really like the Ood. Him stepping out of the TARDIS with the lei and the cowboy hat is like super iconic. But
that's true.
Yeah, I don't like the weird dad and daughter stuff. Like those two people have way too much chemistry.
Yeah.
I was like,
weird vibe.
This is really weird.
Well, because like she calls him daddy. And I'm like, okay, well, like that, but they had couple energy.
Yeah.
Because you're like, she's like 35.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know, I mean, I don't know. She's like way too old to be saying daddy.
She's an adult. She's clearly an adult woman.
Yeah.
Right.
And not like an adult woman playing like a high school, or like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
but they
had couple
like,
energy.
Yeah, and it just feels like they're infantilizing her a little bit. But like, because they have couple energy, because they have chemistry, it like,
it's so weird.
It's so weird.
It's
it feels
so
creepy
weird.
and gross. Yeah. Not
And
into
like,
it.
and like the episode doesn't want us to take them seriously. Like the morons were busy with their plan that wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah. In general, I think the End of Time has like a lot of interesting things going on, but because there's like 6 threads that all transition from one to the next over the course of 2 episodes, it's like too many things.
Yeah.
In not enough time.
And they're not.
If he had cut out 2 of those things,
yeah,
it would be like, I think the episode would have been a lot better. Like if it was just Gallifrey returning and the Doctor's regeneration, I feel like that would be enough.
Yeah.
I don't think we need all of this other stuff. The Master Race, all of that stuff. It has one of the worst cliffhangers of all time, I think. Where I'm just like, this is dumb. I can't believe this is what he's going out on.
And that's kind of the knife twist.
Yeah.
Is you're like, time is so precious.
Yeah.
With these episodes.
Yeah.
I
feel like if he had like 6 episodes to tell this, like a little mini series to do like David Tennant's outgoing episodes where he got to like string it along a little bit more, I feel like maybe that space would have allowed for like him to pay off this stuff a little bit better. But like,
which is so dumb because like they did the Easter special and then they had Waters of Mars, so he could have just like done like, you know, it's a 4-parter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that, but the choice to make like 4 standalone kind of like could have happened anywhere, like adventures. When you have, and then, but I guess Waters of Mars accomplishes it in like the finale. And I love Waters of Mars. But yeah, you're right. I think it's worth saying. Yeah, I think the scene with David Tennant and Bernard Cribbins is maybe one of the best scenes of the show, and I think it pushed the bar forward on like the types of performances we could get from the show.
Yeah,
and yeah, they're both so human and like so beautiful in that scene. And the Master stuff doesn't viscerally bother me. I do think it's like lame, but
yeah. It's lame and it viscerally bothers me. So it's like both for me.
Yeah.
But like Scott said, there is like a warm blanket nostalgia of watching this where I can immediately remember it being like winter 2010.
Yep.
Yeah.
9.
Yeah. And how safe we were.
Yeah. Obama's in it.
He's going to give a speech to solve the world recession.
Right?
Yeah.
Bless.
So that's End of Time Part 1. And then there is the return of Dr. Mysterio, which I love this episode, like straight up. I think it's so much fun, and I love Moffat dealing in Superman tropes. And yes, a lot of them can be cheesy, but I think they're cheesy in a fun, good way. That I'm like, I can't help but be charmed by. Even if like a lot of them also don't really work, but like I'm just sort of charmed by him trying, I guess. I don't know. I really like this one a lot. I think it's a lot of fun, and I really want Stephen Moffat to write a Superman movie, really, really bad. I did you hear? This is not related to Doctor Who in so much as more than like just something I want to happen. But like, did you hear that? That there's a lot of rumors going around that J.J. Abrams is looking for writers for a Superman movie that he's going to direct.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ay caramba.
Yeah, Warner Brothers hasn't announced it yet, I guess. But
I'd be into that.
That's what's running around. Yeah, depending on who he gets to write it. I'm glad that he's not writing it himself because
Yeah.
I read that script and big
Flyby?
ol' yikes.
Yeah.
But yeah, somebody should
Well-
message him and be like, "Hey, have you met Stephen Moffat?"
Haven't met Stephen Moffat. Oh, hello, JJ. You're a fan of the puzzle as well.
Yeah.
I will say, there's nothing J.J. Abrams crushes harder at than casting.
Exactly. And chemistry specifically.
So like Lois and Clark,
yeah, if he gets to cast them from scratch, if he isn't stuck with Henry Cavill,
who we love.
which I love. I love him, and I wish he would have a good Superman movie where he actually got to be
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be really, really cool. But if he's not stuck with that casting, he gets to start over like the Batman.
That's
Oh
exciting.
my God, that would be so dope. Because
What
we haven't.
the first thing you hear in the opening notes of that Nirvana song. in the
Oh,
trailer.
man.
You're like,
'Cause-
oh wow.
Because we haven't gotten this is totally off topic, sorry everybody, but we haven't gotten a good Lois Lane since
Dana Delaney.
Dana Delaney. Yeah, from the cartoon.
Yeah,
Oh my
she's
God.
great. But like but yeah, you want Margot Kidder energy. You want,
I don't
like,
even want that. I want Dana Delaney.
Dana Delaney.
energy,
There you
know?
go. Yeah.
Because Terry Hatcher was good too, even if it starred a Superman that I'm not even going to say his name out loud anymore because he's an evil jerk, and doesn't deserve to be called Superman. But Terry Hatcher was pretty good.
Yeah.
She was pretty good, Lois. But yeah, Dana Delaney all day long.
And of course, there's no bigger fan of Amy Adams than that's probably not true. I love Amy Adams a lot, and
Nope.
but yeah, like I don't think those movies
I do.
highlight Amy Adams. Yeah, of course, yeah.
I do too. But like she's not Lois Lane. she's just not.
She's Amy Adams.
Yeah, she's Amy Adams. She's not any more Lois Lane than maybe a little bit more Lois Lane than Kate Bosworth, but anyway, I knew we were going to go down a Superman rabbit hole with this particular episode. But yeah, I really, I think this episode is a lot of fun. I know it was weird at the time because it had been a full year before we got an episode,
And it's so light and fun and like kind
totally,
of
yeah, totally.
I don't want to say frivolous,
but it also came so close to the Bill Potts era. It was like 2 months out, I think, if I remember correctly, because there's a trailer for that series at the end of Dr. Mysterio.
Yeah.
Which I was like, when I was watching that, and like she's like, "My name's Bill," and I was like, "Oh my God,
It's
did it.
you.
I remember this." So yeah, I really, 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 really enjoy this one a lot.
What did you think, Cass?
I liked it more this time. I think it was just
That's good.
Yeah. Because it's like really cute.
Yeah,
It's not, I wouldn't call it like Christmassy, but it's really charming.
yeah. The ghost has big himbo energy.
Oh my God, yeah.
The nanny.
Yeah, the fact that he's a nanny. I was like the cutest thing.
Bless.
He couldn't drop the baby monitor. even
Yeah.
when he was.
Yeah. Oh man, it's so good.
And I like Capaldi and I like 12 and Nardole, like just chilling.
Mhm. Yeah.
The espionage thing is fun. I don't know. I like this one a lot.
This was the first. I think this was the first one that I watched because this was the one that I had heard from a couple of friends that had watched it for the first time. That they were like, this was really fun, and I'm like, I remember really dunking on that one back in 2014. And yeah, exactly like you guys said. I think this is just so much fun, and I think free of the expectations of it being like, you know, the first Doctor Who in a while, and it being the Christmas special, and all those expectations I brought to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it kind of threads that and that out. Like the sitcom-y fun shenanigans are really fun, and I think Moffat has a lot of fun playing in the tropes of like a Superman story.
Mm-hmm.
I really like how Nardole chilled out while being a head in a robot.
Uh-huh.
For like hundreds
Like,
of years.
he's like, eh.
He's
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, it's not going to get any worse than
Yeah.
that. So,
He's like, yeah, this could happen.
yeah, he's so chill in this episode. Even more chill than I think he is in series 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he's just kind of like vibing the whole time. He's like, oh, I don't know. You know?
Oh, an elephant.
Yeah. He's so great. I love it. Oh, man.
So, yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay, so let's start with which is the better episode. That is Mysterio for me.
Mysterio.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Dr. Mysterio.
Rewatchability, I'm again going to go with Mysterio.
Yeah, I'm as well.
Yes.
And Christmas vibes. So this one's tough. I think I have to go with End of Time Part 1, but I will say the thing that I like about the low-key Christmas vibes in Dr. Mysterio is that he decided to like go a different direction with it, which is like watching Dr. Mysterio feels like playing with your new toys on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
You know,
Aw.
like it doesn't feel like Christmas, but it feels like right after opening your gifts on Christmas and you were playing with all your action figures. That's what watching Return of Dr. Mysterio feels like to me. So I like it for that, but I have to give it to End of Time Part 1.
I'm going to vote for Dr. Mysterio because it feels like something you watch in December around Christmas.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It literally was.
Like the Superman movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually, yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with End of Time, just because like
There's nothing
the bus full of old people, just like
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The most.
There's
yeah.
nothing more Christmassy than Bernard Crimmins in the antler.
Oh,
Doing
yeah.
the little
I shan't,
Yeah.
it's Christmas. Yeah.
when the bus is here and he starts doing his little dance.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. God, he's the best. Bernard Cribbins is amazing. Okay, so that's Dr. Mysterio then. Okay. So we're moving
we
on.
did it almost.
We did round 1.
I always become a little bit of a royalist in those moments where Wolf is so excited when the Queen is on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Okay, so here we go. So our first matchup in the quarterfinals is Last Christmas versus Voyage of the Damned. So we've already talked about these. So we're just going to look at them in terms of the criteria that we talked about before.
Great.
So rewatchability, I'm going Last Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, me as well.
Okay. So Christmas vibes. I'm going to go Last Christmas.
I will as well.
Mhm.
And better episode, definitely
Last Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say Last Christmas.
All right, so that was a sweep. That was a sweep. Voyage of the Damned got wrecked just then.
It's a good episode.
It is, yeah, it's fun, but it's not. It doesn't hold a candle to Last Christmas. Last Christmas rules. One thing I didn't mention about Last Christmas is Santa's Little Elves.
Yeah.
They're great. I like those guys. They were great. Okay.
Feels has aged like 20 years, weirdly. All the feels.
Yeah.
Well, because it's in that weird spot where it's not nostalgic yet. It's
Right.
just old.
It's just like old fashioned thing now. Yeah. And it's also, yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
Okay. So the next matchup in quarterfinals, A Christmas Carol versus The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Do we even need to vote on this?
I will just say, no, I'm good.
Sorry,
yeah,
Nick.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
No.
Carol.
I was gonna think of what's a thing I could say about Christmas about the other one, The Witch in the Wardrobe.
The one you can't even say the name right. It's not the title. I'll say that.
But I think there's nothing that we didn't say
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. It's yeah. I mean, Doctor Widow and the Wardrobe. It's a really
I thought of something. I think it's really cool when how they bring the time vortex into the episode.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
true.
yeah.
That is cool. That's fun. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's a classier move than saying Doctor Who 8
But you know
times.
what? They did the same thing in Christmas Carol. They blended the clouds into the clouds in the opening credits.
Yeah,
The
those-
clouds around so they both did that.
They both did that.
All right, so Christmas Carol moves on to the semifinals. Next matchup is the Snowmen versus Twice Upon a Time.
So
Ooh.
I got to watch Twice Upon a Time
Mm-hmm.
during the break that we got to take.
That's right.
So yeah, I just want to say, I enjoyed it a lot as well. Something that I talked to Scott about off mic cast is, Time of the Doctor is trying so hard and is so big and operatic and important and mythical, and it's admirable because it feels like the end of an era.
Mm-hmm.
But what impresses me so much about Twice on a
Feels
Time,
like the end of a budget.
end of a
That's for
budget.
sure.
Yeah, got him.
He's old now. Half the budget. Half.
Whoa.
Half.
Twice Upon a Time is so understated, and it speaks so much to how much Moffat has grown as a writer that he doesn't need to be on. And the moments that land just feel like they land so organically.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think Peter Capaldi gives a really good performance.
Mm-hmm.
And his regeneration just made me really want to watch every episode of 13.
Mm-hmm.
What's the other one?
So the Snowmen.
Okay.
I mean, I like the Snowmen. It doesn't hold a candle to Twice Upon a Time for me. Twice Upon a Time is my favorite regeneration story of New Who. Because as much as The Parting of the Ways is truly incredible,
Mm-hmm.
it's a really great episode. You have to watch the first half of it. And Bad Wolf, all of the reality show stuff is so silly and over the top that it kind of and it's fun to watch. Don't get me wrong, but it drains some of the power of Parting of the Ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Twice Upon a Time is the best regeneration story of the modern era.
What if so the Doctor was going up to that tower because the thing was shooting at it, and then it was revealed that it was Rusty?
Mm-hmm.
What if the reveal was that it was the weakest link robot? So after all these years,
Oh man, that's great. So yeah, this is going to be Twice Upon a Time, and it also, speaking of movies that aren't Christmas aren't Christmas things, but
Yeah.
feel like it or feel like you should be watching it in December.
yeah,
This episode makes me think of, because of David Bradley, makes me think of An Adventure in Space and Time,
Oh.
which also has very Christmas vibes to me. I think there's a few Christmas parties over the course of that movie.
nice.
But I just love that movie so much, and seeing David Bradley as the first Doctor, just
It was such a.
it gives me the feels. I love it.
It was such a cool move.
I said the feels.
You said the feels, yeah, but it worked. You pulled it off. Yeah, in retrospect, this was such a cool, crazy move, and I wish I could go back in time and experience that. The end of the Doctor Falls again.
Mm-hmm.
That I guess when John Sim came up, showed up again, that was really crazy too.
So good, man. 12 is, everybody needs to go back and watch 12. It's just, what a freaking incredible era. The problem is that, and we're going to get into it because we've only covered Deep Breath, which is a banger. In retrospect, I got you guys on my side finally. After so long. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of that season plays out for us, because I remember being pretty lukewarm on most of it, Robots of Sherwood,
Kill the
Into the
Moon.
Dalek. Well, I mean, Kill the Moon is awful.
The Caretaker.
Yeah, I remember The Caretaker not being as fun as I wanted it to be. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays, but I think that series might be the issue for a lot of people, is it's a little bit of a lukewarm season, but then the next two are so freaking good that man, everybody just needs to watch his era. It's just incredible. But yeah, so this is a Twice Upon a Time for me.
I think my favorite Mark Gatiss performance in the show.
Yeah,
I think he's really good.
yeah, he is really good. I really in Doctor Who, this is probably his best performance. It's much better than Lazarus Effect.
Yeah.
Much better than that episode.
That's Dr. Lazarus Effect.
Yeah, Dr. Lazarus Effect. Yeah, it's very good. It might even be better than Sherlock's brother, Mycroft, which is also very good. I like him as Mycroft a lot. I don't know.
I remember Sherlock.
Cass looks dead inside because we mentioned
Yep.
Sherlock.
Goodbye.
Her Time War.
She's getting, her Time War. She's getting flashes of the Tumblr battles.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Or like shooting no more into a wall with a gun.
Oh my god. Okay. Rewatchability. I'm going Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah, me too. I didn't like Snowmen a lot this time around.
I think I'm going Snowmen.
Okay.
Sure.
It's
It's not as heavy.
overall better episode quality ranking. I'm going Twice Upon a Time.
Twice
Yeah, I gotta
Upon
go
a
Twice
Time.
Upon a Time. Yeah.
Okay. And Christmas feels.
Snowmen.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Snowman.
I got to give it a Snowman because like the Victorian stuff and like his Ebenezer Scrooge hat, the score.
I
snow,
really
yeah.
miss Murray Gold. As
Absolutely.
the composer.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was focused on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, God, I
Like
miss
every
Murray Gold.
single one, I'm like, oh gosh, this is such a good theme, or like,
Yeah, Clara's theme might be my favorite.
So, I've got bad news, everybody. Snowman's moving. on.
yay!
Cool.
Snowman wins.
What do you mean
because,
bad news?
Well, I think Twice Upon a Time is a
No,
better
I know.
episode.
Yeah, but this is Christmas specials.
Right, exactly. So Snowman's moving on.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas might
By
not,
1 point. Yeah.
By 1 point. Wow.
By 1 point. Because we all agree it is more Christmassy than Twice Upon a Time. As much as I absolutely adore Twice Upon a Time.
Despite that Coca-Cola commercial of an ending.
Yep. And then we have Runaway Bride versus The Return of Dr. Mysterio.
Interesting.
Okay, so let's talk about rewatchability. I'm going Dr. Mysterio.
I think I'm gonna. I just pictured watching this again and it made me laugh. So I'm gonna go with Dr. Mysterio.
Runaway Bride?
Okay.
Yeah.
Better episode. I'm going to go Dr. Mysterio.
Yes, I agree with that.
I'll go with that as well.
Okay. And Christmas vibes. I'll go Runaway
Runaway
Bride.
Bride.
Me as well.
I think that's, let's see, 3, 4. Yep. Dr. Mysterio has that by 1 point.
It was a reverse of what just happened a few minutes ago.
Yep. Okay. So. Nope. I every time I type it, I go the Return of the Doctor. Oh no, of Dr. Mysterio.
Oh, I texted Cass about this off mic a few days ago, but I think it's hilarious now that like in reverse canon that Wolf just didn't go to Donna's wedding,
Her first wedding.
her first wedding.
Oh yeah, I know. It's really, he had to work in that. He wasn't retired yet.
I shan't. It's Christmas.
He wasn't retired yet.
Our sovereign doesn't take a day off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny when he meets him in Voyage of the Damned, he doesn't mention that his granddaughter was like zapped away in the middle of her wedding.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I love that retcon though. I love the retcon that stupid newspaper guy is her grandpa. Okay, so we are in the semifinals now. Here we go. Last Christmas versus A Christmas Carol.
Ooh.
This one is real hard. So I think we just got to go. We just got to go for it. Which one is the better episode? This is by a hair for me.
Oh, okay.
By a hair, but
Yeah.
I'm giving it to A Christmas Carol.
I think Last Christmas is just when you finish it, you're like, that was so well put together.
Right.
All the pieces, and like that's so admirable.
Yeah, for sure. Last Christmas rules, but is it as good as A Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't
I
think
mean,
so.
we knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. Let's not. Hey, I thought Snowman would get beat in
That's
that last
fair,
round,
that's
and it
fair.
did not.
Okay.
So anything can happen. You never know. So Christmas Carol, better episode. Is that across
Yeah,
the board?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay. Christmas vibes. Christmas Carol across the
Yeah.
board, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Rewatchability. Yeah, Christmas Carol, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to vote for Last Christmas just because that's the one I'm most excited to watch again.
Okay. All right.
That's fair.
Sure. Admirable. Last Christmas has 1 point. Christmas Carol has
Yeah, there we go.
a lot
I mean,
more.
it's
Wasn't
not
a
a
wash.
sweep,
8.
so
Yeah,
That's true.
not
That's
a sweep.
true. That's true. It's very good. All right. So A Christmas Carol going on to
the
the finals. All right, The Snowmen versus The Return of Dr. Mysterio. I can tell you right now, I did not picture either one of those
I
ending up
know.
in the finals.
I love this. I love our show.
This is so crazy.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say that if you told me which one are you gonna rewatch right now, gun to my head, watch one of these, it's gonna be Dr. Mysterio for me. So that's why I'm gonna pick that one.
Me as well.
Yeah. In that scenario, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, Dr. Mysterio, 3 points. Moving on to which is the overall better episode.
I'm going to go Dr. Mysterio.
I think I'm going to go with Dr. Mysterio as well.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Christmas vibes. I'm going to give it to Snowmen.
I'm just going to give it to Dr. Mysterio for fun.
Okay, sure. Because it didn't matter. It had already passed. It already won.
Is it a
Yeah.
trope, Cass, when the reporter is like defending the nanny in front of Dr. Mysterio, not knowing that she's really complimenting the nanny? Is that like a trope in like romance fiction?
I don't read enough romance fiction to know that, but it feels tropey, right? Like,
Okay, I was into it.
Yeah, I feel like it's a superhero trope, actually.
like this person is blah 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 blah, and then like they're standing right there. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they don't
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Would that happen with like?
Oh wait, he did it twice, almost in a row, because it's in the Husbands of River song too.
Oh.
And she's talking
right.
about the doctor and has no idea that he's standing right there.
I love that.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like that super clip of Sorkinisms from a
Mhm.
few years ago.
Yeah, that's really good. I do love the Sorkinisms clip. That's really fun. All right, we're in the end game now.
This I did not think this was what it was gonna.
This is the end game is A Christmas Carol versus The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Bonkers.
That's not-
Cannot believe it.
That's not the other one. Like, I knew Christmas Carol was going to be in the finals, but I didn't.
I'll be honest. I thought for sure this was going to be A Christmas Carol versus Twice Upon a Time.
Oh wow! It almost was.
Upset.
Yeah, yeah. I think if the Snowmen hadn't gotten in over Twice Upon a Time, I think Twice Upon a Time would have beaten Dr. Mysterio in the previous round. But because it didn't, here we are.
That's the thing about brackets, man.
Yeah. So, A Christmas Carol versus The Return of Dr. Mysterio. I think we're all in agreement. We're all going to choose Dr. Mysterio for this, right?
Wait, what category is it?
For all of it's just going to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's break it down.
So overall quality of the episode. I mean, A Christmas Carol is like an annual classic for me.
Mhm.
And I think too, another reason why I think it holds up so well is because Amy and Rory take such a backseat
Mhm.
Yeah.
that it becomes one of those Doctor Who episodes that you can just show anybody
Yes.
because it's not bogged down in any sort of continuity.
You can just do the elevator pitch of like he travels around.
Mm-hmm.
These are his two friends this time.
Whereas Dr. Mysterio is really about him grieving the loss of River Song,
Mhm.
at least partially, and that is absolutely meaningless to anyone who isn't up to date on
Right.
the show. So I gotta give it to which one are we doing? We're doing overall
quality.
I have to give it to A Christmas Carol just because I just think it's again that twist that ghost of Christmas yet to come is just that twist is so good. It's so well choreographed and set up where you should see it coming and yet you don't.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's kind of a miracle, you know, the story structure of A Christmas Carol is so well trotted and has been done so tritely,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that the fact that Michael Gambon and Murray Gold and Matt Smith and Stephen Moffat and everyone was ever to come together and really make you care about this one shot character,
Mm-hmm.
and your heart really breaks with Kazaran, and that's what Christmas is all about. Charlie Brown is like believing for like one night that like this kind of transformation is possible.
It's true. Yeah. Christmas Carol is numero uno for me on
It's
this
so
one.
interesting to me, like rewatching all of these, how like all of Stephen Moffat's Christmas specials are like so focused on like grief.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like because I don't think of Christmas as like being sad, I guess, but like I don't know, it was just really interesting watching them all like this. And
Right. Yeah. When you lay them all out, you find yourself like I found myself noticing things like, you know, how often 10 pulls a sword out of somewhere and has a sword fight.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think I've ever really clocked that before.
Yeah.
Or like how many of Russell T Davies episodes are like kind of set more earthbound.
yeah,
I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas Stephen Moffat is just like, no, I'm just going to invent a town called Christmas.
Trend on the planet Trenzalore.
Okay, so overall quality,
Christmas
A
Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Yes.
Rewatchability,
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Christmas Carol.
Okay, and overall holiday vibes,
Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, I'll say that.
All right, that's a clean sweep. Christmas Carol wins, which is exactly what we all thought
Yes.
this is how this was
Yes.
going to shake out.
I think the real story here is that the return of Dr. Mysterio
Made it so
got second
far.
place.
Yeah, I know. That is seriously, that's the real story
That's
here.
the Cinderella story.
Yeah. Return of the Dr. Mysterio. Don't sleep on it. It's good. It's a really fun episode. Also, if you haven't rewatched Last Christmas anytime
Oh my
soon,
God, please.
rewatch it. It is so good. It's so much better than you remember it being.
Yeah, I would say almost all of these were better than I remembered them being.
yeah.
So if you're in a position if you have access to some of these,
Mhm.
whether streaming or on physical media, I think you could pop any of them on and have
Yeah.
a fun time.
They're all on HBO Max right now. Though there is a weird thing going on with the way that they're presenting them. So series 1 through 4, Rose through End of Time, are all in normal 24 frames per second. From the 11th hour through, I don't know, the end of series 12. I forget what that is. What the last episode of series 12 is.
Is it Timeless Children?
Oh yeah, the timeless child, or the
Timeless
timeless
whatever.
children. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they are being presented in 30 frames per second, which gives the show a weird high frame rate quality of like that sort of soap opera look to it a little bit. So it's low enough that you get used to it, but when you first put it on, it is like off-putting to me. It was very off-putting. It grew on me, and I just kind of like accepted it as it went along. But that is a weird thing about HBO Max, is that that's how it's airing those episodes. I don't know why they're streaming it at that high frame rate, but they
I
are.
didn't notice.
I don't know. Weird. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't notice it as much on my TV as when you showed it to me on your TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if like my settings are different or
No, it's not. It's not settings. You can't change it.
That's
Okay.
weird.
yeah.
But yeah, it must have been low grade enough to where I didn't notice it on my.
Yeah, it like your eyes adjust to it, you know. But it is a thing. It was
Cool.
on every episode. That's it. All right. Happy holidays,
Yeah, this was
everybody.
fun.
Alrighty.
Yeah. Merry Christmas if you celebrate, and we will see you guys shortly after the New Year, where we're going to talk about Revolution of the Daleks. Before coming back at the end of January for our new series of The Long Way Round.
Yay.
Which I am pumped for. So pumped for more Doctor Who.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.